Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rux, I'm a Western tropical astrologer, and today we're going to be talking about your March horoscopes. And March is actually a month that I'm really looking forward to. The transit that I'm the most looking forward to, and I'm probably not alone in this, a lot of astrologers are probably going to tell you the same thing, is Venus transiting Pisces. Venus in Pisces is exalted, so Venus really likes to be in Pisces. Why? Because Venus is the planet of love and relationships and beauty, and Pisces is the sign of acceptance, empathy, compassion, but also imagination and romance in general. So we're all going to benefit from this transit. Our relationships are going to benefit from a much needed dose of acceptance, unconditional love, once again, a heavy dose of increased romanticism. Romanticism. I don't know what the right word is. You tell me in the comments. We're probably also going to be able to tap into our imagination and bring that into our relationships. So think about, I don't know, like candlelit dinners or think about like losing ourselves in the eyes of the beloved. Maybe it sounds cheesy, but when it actually happens, it is magic. It can be magic. It can be pure bliss. And Venus and Pisces can actually experience bliss in romantic setups. However, let's not forget that Saturn is also transiting Pisces, and Venus and Saturn in Pisces form a very kind of like potent combination, which is going to be super active on the 21st of March as well as the day before and the day after. They form a very potent combination of us in various aspects of our life. And it depends on what your natal chart looks like. In us making a long-term commitment to someone who we love, and in making the commitment to put in the work, to put in the effort, to maybe please the other person or to help the other person or to support the other person. Maybe even unconditionally, I wanna say. Why? Out of a lot of love and out of compassion possibly, and out of empathy, and out of really kind of like understanding what they are going through. Venus connecting with Saturn and Pisces also gives us a lot of focus and a lot of discipline in giving concrete, tangible shape to our artistic visions. So it's like a really good connection, for example, for the professional artist, let's say. So this is probably something that I'm the most excited for when it comes to the month of March. Eclipse season is upon us again, and you know how I do like a separate video for full moons, for new moons, but there's going to be an eclipse on the 25th of March. It's going to be active week before, week after, a full moon lunar eclipse in Libra. Some sort of like culminating point once again in our relationship sector. Generally, this eclipse does point towards releasing an aspect of a relationship, or even releasing a relationship altogether, which sometimes isn't a bad thing. Sometimes we have to make room for something new, we have to make room for new dynamics, we have to make room for new people, and I do believe that there's a general sense of like positivity and optimism, even as we are letting go of an old aspect of our relationship sector. There is a general sense of positivity and optimism with Venus exalted in Pisces as the ruler of the eclipse, and forming a harmonious aspect to Jupiter. So we're probably like really confident and at peace with the decision that we're making, I want to say. And we are kind of like letting go. There's a sense of like release and power outage, because we're working towards something else, or we're kind of like growing a different relationship, a different maybe connection, or a different set of goals in our relationship sector, folks. I do believe, however, that we're likely to see the full-blown effects of the eclipse sometime between the last week of August of this year until the first week of November of this year. Why? Because that is when the degree of the eclipse, which is happening at 5 degrees of Libra, the degree of the eclipse will be reached by the South Node, or better said, the South Node is going to reach the degree of the eclipse. So eclipses do generally feel like very fated times, fated events. Sometimes it feels like the universe I was about to say dumps something upon us, which is potentially quite descriptive of how things happen at times in the universe. Whatever comes up at the time of the eclipse, my recommendation is to see it as a nudge from the universe, God, source of all creation, as a nudge that kind of like puts you back on track to follow your path and to fulfill your destiny in this lifetime. What other astrological events are happening in March? 1st of March, we've got a Sun sextile Jupiter. This is a very kind of like calming, peaceful day, a day when we can see the big picture, when we're quite relaxed and when we have faith in the future. 3rd of March, also active day before, day after, Venus squares Uranus, disruption in relationships with a big focus on independence and freedom. Maybe someone wants more freedom in a relationship. 8th of March, and this is going to be active day before and day after, Mercury conjuncts Neptune. A great kind of like aspect for utilizing the mind in a creative way, but not a great aspect for commerce, sales, trading. Not a great aspect for a rational kind of like logical analysis of data, facts, numbers. I mean, this makes me think of things like, I don't know, like incorrect data, incorrect information, or distorted information. Potentially fake information. 9th of March, Mars squares Uranus. This is also going to be active the day before, the day after. This is an accident-prone aspect. And my recommendation would be to not rush, to not speed, and to not be impulsive, especially when it comes to using sharp tools, but also when it comes to using tools that involve technology, maybe electricity or heat. This can also, at a collective level, be a time of significant disruption that involves communities and groups of people. For example, I was watching the news and I saw the protests in India. We could imagine with Mars squaring Uranus that crowds or communities or groups of people could like very kind of like suddenly do something quite potentially aggressive or destructive, let's say. We've got a new moon on the 10th of March. New moon in Pisces, nicely aspected, I want to say, nicely aspected to Uranus. So the new moon in Pisces might bring a sense of relief and a sense of moving forward towards the future by letting go of something that maybe has caused suffering. 19th of March, Mercury conjuncts the North Node, a day of clarity and of really kind of like significant news that impacts the future, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, but also conflicts in general. Aries season starts on the 20th of March. The sun enters Aries. And on the 22nd of March, Mars enters Pisces until the end of April. Mars in Pisces fights for those who are suffering. It fights to save. It fights against oppressors. It fights to protect victims in general. But it also fights for spiritual reasons or kind of like to achieve spiritual aims, I want to say. Mars and Pisces can also diffuse a little bit the martial focus. So if sometimes you feel maybe a little bit scattered in terms of like having a clear focus and a clear direction as to how you want to move forward, it can be the Piscean influence. Mars in Pisces wins and fights by tapping into the imagination and by being kind of like elusive and hard to kind of like catch and hard to grasp, and by using illusion possibly. And the month ends quite nicely with a Venus-Uranus sextile, some sort of like pleasant surprise involving our romantic lives, but also some sort of pleasant surprise in relationship with someone else. Maybe you have a chance encounter with someone and it makes your day. So I'm really liking the end of the month. Now, before we go into the update for each of the 12 zodiac signs, folks, a few things that I want to share. First and foremost, in my practice, I use the whole sign house system, just in case you're using something else, Placidus or another house system, equal houses. That is completely up to you, but just so you know, any and all horoscopes and forecasts that I do for my channel are, and for my private practice as well, I actually use the whole sign house system. So even when I work with clients in private, that is what I use. Speaking of working with clients, I am a full-time consulting astrologer. Those of you who are here for some time probably know this, but I know that there are a lot of new people joining us. So I am a full-time consulting astrologer. I work with clients on a day-to-day basis. I do personal astrological consultations, natal chart readings, natal chart interpretations, year-ahead forecasts, compatibility readings, consultations focused on career, finances, but also consultations focused on relocation or the astrological kind of like relocation aspects of someone's chart. I use astrocartography, I use the relocated chart. So if you are interested in understanding how moving to a different place or traveling to a different place can impact you, what it activates, what it generates, what it triggers in your astrology, we can absolutely do that. Where can you find me? How can you work with me? How can you book a consultation with me? The only place where you can find me is my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is writteninthestars-astrology.com. I've left a link in the pinned comment, but also in the description of the video. And you can go straight to the services section. And if you're a first-time client, please go for the 1 hour, 15-minute Zoom consultation. If you're an existing client, you probably know this. There's other options for you, which is the 1 hour year-ahead forecast or the 30 minutes follow-up consultation. As a new client, we can also do your year-ahead forecast for you to be best prepared for upcoming themes, opportunities, potential challenges, how to best live an aligned life. So we can also do that for you. But if you're a new client, whatever it is that you would like to get out of the astrology, you will need to book the 1 hour, 15 minutes Zoom consultation. I always recommend starting with the natal chart, but I know that people have been getting into astrology more and more. And lately I've been getting a lot of clients who say, Rux, I know my natal chart, I've had it analyzed and interpreted in the past. That is not necessarily the main area of interest. I want to know about the year ahead. I want to know about my relationship sector. I want to know about something else. So we can absolutely do that. The 1 hour, 15 minute Zoom consultation is completely customizable to your needs. writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is where you can find me. I'm now taking bookings when I'm filming this for the end of March, beginning of April, just in case you're wondering. Generally, the waiting time is around a month to a month and a half for a consultation with me. And after you make the payment on site, the way that it works is you go to the contact form on my website and you will have to send me your date, time, and place of birth. The time of birth is super important for accuracy purposes. And of course, please also send me your areas of interest using the contact form, as well as your city of residence, so that we can then arrange a date and time to meet via video call. And video calls can be recorded. Most people want them to be recorded. I think it's really good to go back to the session and to kind of like re-listen. Sometimes you integrate things better. Sometimes things that didn't click initially make more sense if you listen to our session later. So we can absolutely do that, and you can always return to our consultation. Before we go into the update for the zodiac signs, one more thing. I know that I've digressed. Please listen to the update for your rising sign. Please, because that is much more likely to resonate with your life. And remember, this is a general forecast. It is unlikely that a general forecast will completely resonate with you on all fronts. In order to get an accurate, granular, personalized forecast, that is where you will need to get in touch with an astrologer and work with an astrologer. As I said, you can work with me, and you know where to find me. So please listen to the update for your ascendant, for your rising sign. If you don't know that, you can listen to the update for your sun sign, but I recommend finding out your time of birth, generating your natal chart using free online natal chart generators such as astro.com or AstroSeek, and then listening to the updates for your rising sign. And without further ado, let us dive in. My dear Aries, Aries suns and Aries risings, what does March 2024 have in store for you? Well, Aries, if you ask me, there are three big astrological events happening in March. The new moon on the 10th of March in Pisces, Venus going into Pisces on the 11th of March, and the full moon lunar eclipse on the 25th of March, which is also going to be active week before, week after. Eclipse season is upon us again, folks. Now, of course, Aries season starts also, which is definitely notable. But once again, let me not get ahead of myself. Let's start from the very top. Let's kick it all off with the 1st of March, of course. On the 1st of March, we've got a really nice aspect in the sky. The sun is sextiling Jupiter. You seem to be very inspired, very creative. You might even, the way that I envisage this aspect playing out or paying off is maybe when you're relaxing, maybe when you're dreaming, maybe when you're listening to music, you have an idea, you've got an aha moment, some sort of like creative inspiration strikes, and alas, you can give some sort of concrete shape to that. It inspires you to apply this bit of inspiration, this creative spark in some sort of a concrete, tangible way. This is also a really good day to relax in general, maybe spend some time with children and do something practical, and it is likely to bring you and your kids closer together, of course, for those of you who have children. It could also be a day of good news from a financial perspective, but let's put it this way. The common thread is you don't have to try too hard on this day. Sometimes just going with the flow works, and the 1st of March is definitely one of those days when going with the flow works. 3rd of March, and you might also feel this on the day before and on the day after. Venus is going to square Uranus. Some sort of unexpected development, I want to say, in your relationship sector, Aries. Some sort of like unexpected piece of news coming from a friend or from a significant other. Maybe all of a sudden a friend who you were supposed to meet is telling you, listen, I can't make it anymore. We just have to reschedule. A partner could cancel at the last minute if you had a date, if you had some sort of like plans. I do believe that this other person, be it a friend, be it a partner, by them doing something unexpected or unforeseen, or because something unexpected happens in their life, it might mess a little bit, a tiny little bit with your plans, Aries. The theme on this day, on the 3rd of March, and also the day before and the day after, is sudden unexpected developments in relation to others. My recommendation would be to not take it personally and to give people space, because if you don't give them space, and if you take it personally, then the relationship can be even more strongly impacted. You might be disappointed, I'll give you that, but if we've learned something with astrology, is that we don't want to shove Aquarius or Uranus in a corner and say, oh, you got to do this, and kind of like wag our fingers at them, because it's not going to work, and it's only going to like push them even further away from us. 8th of March, Mercury conjuncts Neptune in your 12th house. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I love this because once again, when you are meditating, daydreaming, or actually dreaming, essentially, there seems to be an influx of ideas, especially creative ideas. There seems to be this influx of imagination, kind of like channeling, pouring through you and pouring through your mind. This is a fabulous aspect. And you can also take advantage of it maybe the day before, so on the 7th of March. This is a fabulous aspect for those of you who need to write creatively, those of you who need to compose, I don't know, like a piece of poetry, for example. It is also a fabulous aspect for meditation and for connecting with something that transcends the 3D reality using our mind. However, what this is not great for, it is not great for you doing a super kind of like rational, analytical, factual, mental work. On the absolute contrary, you might be tired, you might miss out on some kind of like facts, numbers, and things like that. And it might not turn out the way that you want it to turn out, just as an FYI. So Neptune can confuse things and blur things, and it kind of like distracts us, and it brings the fog in. So great for imagination and for meditation and for spiritual purposes, not so great for concrete kind of like factual mental activities. 9th of March, I'm not a big fan of this day, and you might feel this aspect also the day before and the day after, so pretty much from the 8th until the 10th of March. Mars is squaring Uranus. Some sort of like sudden unexpected fight, possibly with a friend, or some sort of sudden unexpected conflict within a community that you're a part of, with a group of people. So there could be arguments that either of you kind of like start, so either the community as a whole or you might start the argument, but essentially this might determine you to really reconsider your involvement with this community, with this organization, or with this group of people. Similarly, if you have an argument with a friend, you might feel very inclined to, how should I put it, to break up with a friend. And I know that's quite radical, but we have to remember that we do have Pluto transiting Aquarius for the next 2 decades, and you are probably going to do a thorough cleanup in your circle of friends for the next few years, Aries. And I wouldn't be surprised if you had a little bit of an aha moment after clashing with someone on the 9th of March, maybe also day before, day after. You had an aha moment and you said, you know what, I am done. I'm just gonna break away, break free from this, well, person, or as I said, it could be a group of people. 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after. We've got a new moon in your 12th house. This new moon puts the spotlight on your mental health, your emotional health, what's happening behind the scenes in your life, sleep, relaxation, but also introspection, self-undoing, so how you've been sabotaging yourselves, my dear Aries. What I like about this new moon is that the new moon is making a sextile to Uranus in your 2nd house, whilst at the same time, Jupiter, the ruler of the new moon, is going to sextile Saturn in your 12th house. So a really support, like, how should we put it? A very supportive new moon. In what sense? It is a great time to set intentions and to kick off something new. When it comes to your mental health, your spiritual health, and also when it comes to becoming much more aware of the ways in which you have been sabotaging yourselves, Aries, maybe also it's a great time to start digging deeper into the hidden aspects of your psyche through therapy, through meditation, through introspection, through contemplation, through journaling. I feel like you're going to, at the time of this new moon, you might feel drawn to invest more of your money, resources, time, energy into activities of this nature. You might also realize at the time of this new moon how important sleep, relaxation, and disconnecting from the hustle and bustle of the day-to-day, how important that is for your general well-being, and also how important that is in order for you to actually accomplish your goals. In today's society, we're kind of like obsessed with being productive and with achievement and with getting things done. But in order to get things done, we sometimes forget about rest. We sometimes forget about disconnecting from the day-to-day. We forget about resetting ourselves. That is what this new moon is putting the spotlight on. Aries, invest in the time that you spend away from the world, invest in your mental health, invest in your spiritual health, invest in your spiritual sustenance, because you are likely to benefit from this in the long term, if you ask me. Now, 11th of March until the 5th of April, Venus, planet of love, pleasure, enjoyment, one of the two benefics in astrology. Venus enters your 12th house. Pretty much until the 5th of April, Aries. If you ask me, it is a fantastic time to take some time off. It is a fantastic time to also enjoy romance. and enjoy romantic connections with someone in a behind the scenes way. So you might not necessarily share this with everyone. You might not necessarily shout out from the rooftops, hey, I'm seeing this person, I'm dating this person, it's fabulous. No, you might prefer to kind of like protect and enter into this sort of like bubble to protect your relationship, to protect your romantic connection. You might also generally very much enjoy, until the 5th of April, 12th house activities. So rest, sleep, relaxation, meditation, contemplation, retreating, going on a retreat, spending time in places of retreat such as temples, for example, or sanctuaries of some sorts. Venus is also the ruler of your second house of income, so you might feel much more inclined to spend your money on these types of activities. If you ask me, the way in which I would take advantage of this time is to schedule some time off, Aries, first and foremost. That is what I would do. 17th of March, the Sun conjuncts Neptune in your 12th house. You do seem to have a little bit of an aha moment in terms of what it is that you need to let go of, what it is that you need to release in order to heal, who it is that you need to release, what sort of attachment you need to release, and what sort of maybe activity you need to let go of, because it has been maybe contributing to a little bit of like self-undoing, a little bit of like self-destruction, let's say, Aries. 19th of March, Mercury conjuncts the North Node in your first house. Also the day before and the day after. I really, really like these. I really like the Mercury North Node conjunction because the mind is very, very, very sharp. And it also feels like your mind is enhanced, your logic is enhanced. I want to say that your capacity to communicate, to express yourself, to really communicate what is important to you, to talk about yourself, to be very coherent, to be very witty, to have a way with words. So that capacity is very, very strongly enhanced. And I would even recommend taking advantage of this aspect. So 19th of March, also the day before and the day after. For example, if you have to make a presentation, if you have to speak in front of someone, if you have to talk about yourselves, Aries, if you have to go for an interview. I like this aspect tremendously. 20th of March, of course, Aries season starts for the next month. The Sun transits Aries, and your level of vitality is probably going to go up, as well as your level of confidence. And it might feel like there's a lot of things happening to you personally that involve you, that put the spotlight on you. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn. This can be a time when you realize what it is that you need to commit. Let's put it this way. What it is that you need to make a commitment to in order to accomplish your long-term goals, but also in order to achieve healing, especially emotional healing. Also, this can be a time when you realize what it is that you need to let go of, to commit to letting go of, when it comes to your approach to relationships, but also your approach to money, resources, and values, I want to say. You might also feel drawn around the 21st of March, maybe also the day before and the day after, to make, how should I put it? To engage in some sort of selfless act. Towards whom, you might ask. So to do some sort of like charity, or to do something selflessly, without expecting anything in return. Towards whom? Well, especially towards maybe a partner, a significant other, a romantic partner, but also maybe towards a parent. I am inclined to bring into the mix maybe potentially a female family member as well, who might need your unconditional support, who might need you to help them with something concretely. How should I put it? Do it out of love, do it for good karma, but it does feel like it is probably something that you're going to feel like it is your duty to engage in. 22nd of March until the 30th of April, so for a long time, Mars goes into Pisces in your 12th house. Mars is your chart ruler I believe you're going to be very active, but in a behind the scenes way, my dear Aries. So whatever initiatives you are kind of like feeling very passionate about, whatever action you want to take, whatever projects you want to kick off, also, whatever you feel very motivated to act upon when it comes to money and especially investments, you might do this in a very behind the scenes way. I want to say you might lose a little bit of sleep throughout this period. You might feel like your subconscious is super active. You're also likely to put a lot of energy into activities that are connected with your mental health, your emotional health, but also activities connected with healing, both on the spiritual side of things, on the emotional side of things, as well as on the physical side of things, Aries. 24th of March, Venus sextiles Jupiter. I like this. Very romantic aspect. You're feeling loved. You're feeling appreciated. You might even be feeling loved and appreciated by someone who you did not expect to express these types of feelings towards you. So there is an element of surprise here. And of course, the full moon coming up on the 25th of March, active week before, week after, a big astrological event of March, my dear Aries. What is going on here? So it's a lunar eclipse, so a point of culmination. It is a time of culmination, closure, results, peaks, outcomes, right? But because the eclipse is happening with the South Node, we see a power outage. So we're kind of like seeing something being released out of our lives. We're letting go of something in our lives. Look back at what was going on in your relationship sector and in the sector of collaboration, so working with others one-to-one. What was going on in this part of your life, Aries, around the middle of October last year, 2023, 14th of October, a few days before, a few days after. Because whatever was going on in that sector last year in October could be kind of like reaching a point of closure and could give fruit at the time of the eclipse. I do believe that some relationships may change very drastically at the time of this eclipse. I do believe that you might even decide to part ways with someone at the time of this eclipse. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner. It could be a counselor, a consultant, an advisor, someone who offers services to you, my dear Aries. You could also let go of a business partnership around this time because it might be very clear to you that there were things happening behind the scenes that you were not fully aware of. And now that you see them clearly, now that you see what was happening behind the scenes, it's very clear to you that, you know what, it is best to part ways. Saying that, not... a lot of people do bring the breakup term in the mix when we've got this type of astrological setup in the sky. It's not mandatory for things to terminate relationship-wise, and I am thinking here especially of romantic relationships. Some romantic relationships will terminate because there have been things happening behind the scenes that will come to the surface, right? And you might realize, hey, this isn't working anymore. We are not seeing the future in a similar manner. That is possible. However, a relationship might change very drastically to the point where it might feel like it's no longer going to look like the old relationship that you had. So relationship dynamics might change. You might need to commit to working with a partner in a different way, maybe because there's something big happening in each of your lives. Maybe because you're going to have a child, for example. Maybe because you decide to move in together, essentially. So I do see a very high chance of relationship dynamics changing. I have to flag, however, that eclipses do feel fated many times. So whatever sense of kind of like fatedness you get out of this eclipse, I would see it as the universe telling you, this is your path, this is your destiny, pay attention to it, don't hold on to what is no longer working. Be it an existing dynamic, be it an existing relationship, make room for something that is actually sustainable in the long term and that you actually want to build in the long term. And 28th of March, Venus sextiles Uranus. I do see a possibility of feeling, of you Aries feeling unexpectedly kind of like appreciated and once again loved. And there could be some sort of like money that makes its way to you without you necessarily working too hard for it. Maybe it's just a gift or a surprise, or you get a, I don't know, like a tax return or something like that. My dear Taurus, Taurus suns and Taurus risings, March 2024, what is going on in your lives, Taurians, in March? Well. First and foremost, I have to mention Venus transiting Pisces, one of the most significant transits of the month. Venus, your chart ruler, enters Pisces on the 11th of March until the 5th of April. Beautiful time to do what? To connect with friends, to focus on your goals for the future, to work together with a group of people on your goals for the future, to commit to long-term goals that involve collaboration with a community, with an organization maybe. It could be a professional organization. It's very, very possible. I feel like you are enjoying the hard work throughout this period that you're putting into these kind of like common goals, these common targets, these common objectives. It's also a very, very good time, if you ask me, to travel together with friends, but also to travel for productive work-related purposes, essentially. Taurians, if you need to impress a group of people, if you need to present something to a community of people, if you need to shine out into the world, if you need to impress your audience, if you've got a target audience, Venus is really going to support you. You might also feel very confident in the fact that the universe has got your back throughout this period, Taurus, when it comes to you accomplishing your long-term goals. Also, your friends seem to have your back. So if you need help with some of your long-term goals, especially career-wise, but also studies-wise, do reach out to friends because they are here to help. So this is probably one of the most important transits of this month and next month, my dear Taurians. Now, I'm going to go back to the very beginning of the month. I like to do this thing where I kind of like go back and forth. Why not? Let's mix it up, right? Otherwise, life would be super boring. The month starts with a harmonious aspect. On the 1st of March, the Sun sextiles Jupiter. The Sun in your 11th house. I mean, once again, it feels like your connection with a community of people, your connection maybe with friends, with a circle of friends, is giving you a lot of like strength and confidence in yourselves, my dear Taurus. It's also a really good day, the 1st of March, to just, well, to relax with friends, maybe also to relax and to welcome in the support from your family when it comes to some of your long-term plans. 3rd of March, and this aspect is going to be active also the day before the day after, Venus squares Uranus. Now, this is a tense one. Venus is your chart ruler. You might decide to break up, let's say. You might decide to part ways with someone who you've been working with. You might disagree on values. You might disagree on plans for the future. You might disagree on what the future should look like. And you might decide to say goodbye to a business collaboration. There could also be some sudden unexpected news coming from a boss that really kind of like shake you up a little bit. And they could have something to do with money, taxes, or stocks, investments, and things like that. You might also feel in the mood to shock people in general, with your looks, with what's been going on in your romantic life potentially. So that is a possibility. 8th of March, and also active the day before the day after, Mercury conjunct Neptune in your 11th house. A really good day to talk about creative, imaginative things with your friends. It's a great day for brainstorms on the creative side of things. It's not a great day to talk facts. 8th of March, also the day before, the day after. It's not a great day to have really concrete, factual interactions, conversations, to do concrete mental work, analytical, logical mental work, because I see a lot of fog. The weather forecast is saying that in your head, in our brains, there might be a lot of fog on this day. There could also be a sense of maybe a little bit of like disappointment, disillusionment with the way someone thinks. Maybe a friend that you thought knew better. It's possible, and you realize maybe you're not exactly on the same kind of like page when it comes to values. Very, very possibly. It is a good day to connect with like-minded individuals who are interested in the same topics, spiritually, creatively, or artistically. However, 9th of March, day before and day after. So pay attention to the entire period. Mars squares Uranus. Sudden, unexpected conflict, I want to say. Maybe quite shocking. Maybe you did not see this coming. With whom? With a boss, an authority figure, or a friend. A work friend potentially, but I am inclined to believe that it's more a boss or an authority figure. I would also add in a parent. There could be some sudden, unexpected kind of like developments in your relationship with a parent, something that you didn't see coming. You might also very, very kind of like strongly disagree with the way a boss or an authority figure acts, and you are likely to kind of like to dig your heels in and say, you know what, no. Very, very careful, because I'm not liking Mars-Uranus aspects, especially when they aspect the physical body. And Uranus is in your first house, especially for Taurus risings. Careful not to hurt yourselves, Taurus. Careful when it comes to working out, when it comes to moving your body. Yeah, I would be just kind of like careful when it comes to physical movement, when it comes to dealing with kind of like heat potentially, when it comes to dealing with electricity, with gadgets, with technology in general, because something could malfunction. And it's okay. I mean, you can probably buy something new. I mean, it might mess a little bit with your schedule. Maybe you had planned to, I don't know, like finalize your work earlier. But of course you can replace gadgetry. However, you don't want that to, I don't know, like hurt you in any sort of like physical way. So I would be a little bit extra careful between the 8th until the 10th of March. 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after, there's going to be a new moon in your 11th house, my dear Taurians. New beginning when it comes to your plans, your plans for the future, Taurus. So 10th of March is a good time to set intentions for the future, to ask yourselves, Taurians, where do you want to go moving forward? Where do you want to go career-wise? Where do you want to go moving forward in terms of your involvement with a group of people? Who are your supporters when it comes to achieving this long-term goal? Who should you get on your side? Who do you need to collaborate with? Who do you need to network with? You might join a new community. You might start maybe dedicating more time to a specific community in such a way that it helps you achieve your long-term goals, Taurus. I would also recommend maybe, as I said, joining a collective, joining a group of people, especially people that you can learn from. I do also believe that this new moon brings in a fresh start when it comes to your connection with certain friends. Some friends you might decide to invest kind of like more time in like having them on your side. Some friendships you might decide to invest more time in. Some friendships you might decide to not spend as much time dedicating it to them. There is a sense of also releasing maybe older goals, old plans for the future, old targets, old objectives, and to really kind of like narrow your focus, Taurus, around this time. I mean, it would be a great time to do that if you ask me. Let's see what else is going on here. 17th of March. What else? 17th of March, day before, day after. You might feel like you want to do something very kind of like selfless, very kind, to help a family member, to help someone who is like family maybe, or to help a friend with. So maybe they are struggling, maybe they're suffering, and you kind of like step in and you help them in some shape or form. 19th of March, also active day before, day after. Mercury conjuncts the North Node in your 12th house. Mercury is the ruler of your second house, Geminis. My apologies, Taurus, because you've got Gemini in your second house. And Mercury rules Gemini. I do apologize for not speaking correctly. Sometimes, obviously, we are humans. It happens. Mercury is also the ruler of your 5th house. So what's happening here? I feel, Taurians, like you are having like a moment of significant clarity in regards to what actually makes you happy, in regards to what is actually of worth and value to you. You might also bump into some important information. You might learn something that you can utilize to help you make more money, to help you be more prosperous, but also to help you enjoy life more. However, it feels like this information, you might keep it to yourselves, Taurians. It could be something that you feel like you have to like keep hidden, or that you can't necessarily reveal to everyone, because not everyone is going to understand. 20th of March, the sun enters Aries, so Aries season begins, so it illuminates your 12th house for the next month or so. I do believe you might become much more aware of some of your blind spots, and you might become much more aware maybe of your need to take some time off, to relax, to rest. But careful, because the sun can also illuminate the ways in which you sabotage yourselves, Taurians. Maybe the ways in which you don't act quickly enough, the ways in which you don't initiate things as much as you should. Maybe the ways in which you don't stand up for yourselves as much as you should. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn. You are probably setting a long-term goal of collaboration with someone, of collaboration maybe with a community of people. You might also decide to start a long-term business partnership around this time. It is actually a very good day to do that. 22nd of March, Mars enters your 11th house in Pisces until the end of April, until the 30th of April. So you're probably going to put a lot of energy, a lot of action into going after your goals, going off after your kind of like long-term objectives. There's also a chance that you may feel very driven to connect with the right individuals throughout this period, but it may come from you, so you might reach out to them. You might also feel like it's important for you to lead and to initiate things that bring people together. However, careful, because from the 22nd of March until the end of April, you might be a little bit more prone to fight and to get into arguments over maybe misunderstandings with friends. 25th of March, active week before, week after. We've got probably one of the most important events of the month. Full moon lunar eclipse, activating your axis of work, health, and service, my dear Taurians in Libra. There's a sense of letting go and releasing something around this time, Taurians. In what sense? Look back at what was going on in your work sector and in your health sector last year in October, especially around the middle of October. Some of you could let go of a job. Some of you could let go of a habit. Some of you could let go of an old approach to your health, physical, but also mental and emotional. You might realize, you might have the aha moment, and information could come to the surface that makes it very clear to you that you can no longer carry on in the same direction health-wise. You can no longer engage maybe in the same habits because they're not healthy. You might also feel like this is the time when it is the right thing to do to release maybe an old work collaboration, maybe working with a client might say goodbye to you. In any case, I do see a power outage in that space. Symbolically speaking, you might also realize that you need to let go of trying to please everyone at work. Because it is not working, and it might even not be super, super, super healthy. Health-wise, if there's anything that has been going on maybe behind the scenes in terms of your health, you could have some sort of a moment of clarity at the time of this eclipse and know, okay, this is what's been going on. This is what the, I don't know, issue is health-wise. I'm not saying that there has to be an issue health-wise, but if there is, you are probably going to find out what that issue is. I want to say that I like the fact that the ruler of the eclipse is exalted, Venus in Pisces, which is telling me that if you are dealing with anything health-wise, or if you realize that you need to let go of something that is damaging your health, you are probably going to feel like it is doable, it's easy, and you are even receiving support in letting go of this part of your life. Who are you receiving support from? Friends, very, very possibly. A community of people. So I would look around you. You don't have to deal with this by yourselves, Taurians. Last but not least, there could be in your work sector some restructurings, layoffs, possibly also people leaving, and you might say goodbye to some friends from work, I want to say. 28th of March I like because Venus sextiles Uranus, some nice surprise, some pleasant surprise, some maybe unexpected encounter with a friend. You seem to have a really good time with a friend, someone who really likes you and appreciates you, and maybe also someone who inspires you to be your authentic selves, Taurians. And that is March. My dear Geminis, Gemini suns and Gemini risings, what does March have in store for you? I'm gonna start from the very, very, very beginning of the month, even though sometimes I do jump to the most significant events, but this time let's start from the top. 1st of March, the Sun sextiles Jupiter. The Sun is transiting your 10th house of career. You are feeling very confident on this day. Career-wise, you're feeling very appreciated. Career-wise, you're feeling very appreciated in a public setup, in the spotlight. It could feel potentially like a boss is valuing you tremendously. You might get some sort of public acclaim, public applause. You seem to also have a lot of faith in where your career is headed on this day, Geminis. 3rd of March, active day before day after, Venus squares Uranus. Something is a little bit off with traveling, if you ask me. So if you do need to travel around this time, I would get maybe insurance. I would make sure that you get there on time. I would make sure that there aren't any sort of like delays on the road potentially. There could also be some sort of like sudden unexpected piece of news making its way to you, connected with your children's education, possibly. Something that you didn't see coming, maybe something that they hid from you, potentially, and you hear news of it, and you might be a tiny bit disappointed because of the hiding part. I wanna say. You might also feel a little bit disappointed around the 3rd of March, maybe day before, day after, if you had some sort of like date planned or scheduled in with someone that you're very drawn to, someone that you really look up to, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they cancel on you or they don't even show up. 8th of March, also active day before, day after, Mercury conjuncts Neptune in your house of career. This is a fabulous day career-wise if you are presenting things that require you to use your imagination, that require you to tap into your boundless inspiration, let's say. However, if you're presenting something in a professional environment that requires a focus on facts, numbers, and data, I want to say that you might be a little bit off with the facts. You might be a little bit off with the numbers. You might be inconsistent a little bit. You might even be wrong about some of the things that you say. So it's not necessarily a good day to talk numbers and concrete things. It's also possible that a boss on this day, but maybe also the day before and day after, or someone who you look up to and someone who you admire, might say some things that are really confusing And you're kind of like left thinking, what on earth did that mean? Careful at this time not to project an image of yourself out into the world. In a professional environment, but generally in a public setup, not to project an image of yourself that is false, because it might damage your reputation, your status, and your credibility, Geminis. 9th of March, Mars squares Uranus. Disruption connected with traveling once again, especially foreign travel. This is also a day when an unexpected fight could kind of like pop up in your life, Geminis, with a friend, with a coworker, with a colleague. Either of these, you might disagree on some sort of political, philosophical, or spiritual matter. It is a disagreement based off of differing worldviews and differing beliefs. If you don't want to ruin the relationship, my recommendation would be to be quite careful how strongly you speak up about what you believe in. Now, of course, if you ask me, beliefs are worth fighting for, but everyone's living in their own bubble. Truth, I mean, there is obviously like an actual truth, but we all filter reality through our personal filter, and the essence of truth gets distorted. So you might think you're in the right, but sometimes you are in the wrong, and there is such a thing as fighting for the wrong cause, and this day could be one of those days. So just putting it out there, Geminis. And you don't want to, I don't know, if you're gonna continue working with this person, you might not want to end up alienating them. 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after. There's a new one in your house of career. I like this. It's a new beginning professionally. It's a new beginning in terms of your vocational path. It can also be a new beginning in terms of how you contribute to society. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in a professional setup. It can be, in general, the new beginning can be connected with what sort of contribution you bring to society. I'm going to give you a very clear example. For instance, stay-at-home mothers. I've worked with mothers who are completely kind of like stay at home, and they take care of their family and they do everything, which is like a 24/7 job. But they say to me, I don't have a career, or I don't feel like I contribute to society. I'm like, are you kidding me? Your contribution to society is ginormous. It is unquantifiable, essentially, and it is absolutely essential. It is of paramount importance. So, new beginning, rant over. New beginning in terms of how you contribute to society, but also for some Geminis, it can be a new beginning in terms of your status and reputation. The new one is in a nice aspect to Uranus, so it can bring a new position for some Geminis professionally, a higher up position, a position maybe with more responsibility, and it could be a nice surprise. Maybe you didn't see this coming. Jupiter, the ruler of the new moon, is nicely aspected to Saturn, so I do believe that this new position, this new role that you're stepping up into, is something that you are very invested in, that you believe in, something that maybe allows you to work with the people that you know you've got a lot to learn from. It could also be, for example, that a boss retires or leaves and there's a room that is being made for you to step up. It can also be a new beginning for some Geminis in terms of entering into a new industry. I wanna say, so leaving an old industry behind and entering into a new industry, career wise. Overall, I want to say that your reputation seems to be benefiting from this new moon. But it does feel like you kind of like have to step into a role that requires tremendous authority, playing by the rules, and also knowing when to be tolerant, accepting, and when to let go of the small stuff, to not sweat the small stuff, to not kind of like focus on the things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, right? 11th of March until the 5th of April, Venus transits your house of career, Geminis. A stellar, absolutely stellar time career-wise, Geminis. It's a great time to have interviews, to say yes to offers professionally, to form business collaborations. It is a time when you are really liked and very charming, and probably you're going to get your way in a professional setup, but also in a public setup. And you might really feel very appreciated by the world for your creativity, but also for your values and for what you bring to the table in a professional setup. And bosses in general and authority figures are likely to be very accommodating of whatever it is that you ask of them. Fantastic time career-wise. 17th of March, the Sun conjuncts Neptune, a little bit of fog once again in the professional environment, maybe also the day before and the day after. The Sun is the ruler of your third house, so there could be some unclear communications with a boss or with an authority figure, but it could also feel like this is a day when you are called to be accepting and tolerant and forgiving in a professional environment. Maybe even to show mercy, I want to say, but definitely also to show vision, if you ask me, Geminis. 19th of March, also active day before, day after. Mercury conjuncts the North Node in your 11th house. I feel like you are going to learn something from a very important person. It could be a friend, it could be a collaborator, it could be a colleague, it could be someone who is a part of an organization that you're like active in. This could also, this period, 19th of March, day before, day after, can bring a very fated encounter with a person who is likely to have a very positive impact upon your goals for the future. 20th of March, Aries season starts, the Sun enters your 11th house, and I do believe you're probably going to be very focused on your goals for the future, for the next month, as well as on your collaboration and communication with the various communities that you are a part of, Geminis. 22nd of March, Mars goes into your house of career in Pisces until the end of April, until the 30th of April. Mars is the planet of action, stamina, and leadership. If you are taking action, if you're taking the lead in a professional environment, this is a fantastic time. You might be a little bit more dominant and wanting to dominate and wanting to like take the lead and wanting to have your way in a professional environment throughout this period. If you are not in a leadership position, this period can bring conflicts and frustration in relationship with bosses, but also in relationship with coworkers. Mars wants to have his way, right? So if you're in a position to have your way career-wise, that's fantastic. Mars likes to move fast, so if you can move fast because you've got autonomy, independence, and power professionally and influence, that is fantastic. If you don't have that, then you might become very impatient and frustrated and even a little bit extra assertive sometimes when it is uncalled for in a professional environment. 25th of March, active week before, week after, full moon lunar eclipse, folks. Geminis, it is activating your 5th house, 11th house axis. It is an eclipse that's happening with a south node, so I feel like you are letting go of something. You might be letting go of a creative project. You might be wrapping up a creative project. You might also be releasing an old connection or affinity or even old affection for someone who you were in love with. I wanna say it does feel like this is a turning point for romantic relationships. Something's gotta change. So you might go from being, I don't know, just casually seeing someone to like making this official, to like, I don't know, like entering into like a full-blown official commitment. But if either of you isn't kind of like ready for this type of commitment, then this could be a time when you say goodbye to a romantic connection. For those of you who have children, one of your children could be wrapping up an important chapter of their lives. It could be something connected with their career and with their goals for the future, or with their education. This could also be a time when you maybe celebrate something career-wise. Geminis, but I do believe you might also be letting go of an existing maybe group of people or an existing maybe community. For example, let's say that you're getting a promotion career-wise and you're having your leaving drinks and you're saying goodbye to the old team. I am liking the fact that the eclipse is nicely aspected to let's see. Actually, the ruler of the eclipse, which is Venus, is nicely aspected to Jupiter. So there is a sense of optimism and positivity in terms of looking towards the future and in terms of leaving behind something that you have been quite attached to, something that you loved, someone that you loved, but you're kind of like looking towards the future and saying, okay, I believe in this future and I've got a lot of faith that it's going to turn out very, very, very well. The South Node is going to reach the degree of the eclipse last week of August until the first week of November. So you might see the full-blown results of the eclipse end of summer throughout autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere. Last but not least, 28th of March, Venus sextiles Uranus and Taurus, some sort of like pleasant interaction, maybe surprisingly pleasant interaction in a professional environment, maybe an unexpected client or contract that you are winning and therefore like celebrating around this time. You might also feel very, very appreciated in a public setup. Appreciated by those that you work with, maybe appreciated for the way that you've handled some of the events of the month in general, and there could also be some sort of I want to say sparks, a little bit of like maybe flirtation and romantic sparks in a professional environment with someone, but you might just feel like okay, I gotta keep this behind the scenes. I like them, they clearly seem to have a thing for me, but it just kind of like feels nice and validating. I don't necessarily believe you're going to act on it, my lovely Geminis. And that is March for you. Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings. What is going on in March? What is happening, my Cancerian brothers and sisters? A lot is happening, but probably the most important events are the new moon on the 10th of March, Venus entering Pisces on the 11th of March, and the full moon lunar eclipse happening in Libra on the 25th of March, which is going to be active week before, week after. Now, the new moon in Pisces on the 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after, Cancerians, is activating your 9th house. So it could bring some sort of a new connection with foreign lands, foreign countries, maybe a new collaboration. It could be a new maybe like business partnership, a new business collaboration, a new work collaboration, a collaboration work-wise that maybe requires you to travel or to work with people from different countries, maybe from a new office. The new moon is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is transiting your 11th house. Jupiter is making a nice aspect to Saturn. So I feel like you're quite excited about the collaboration with maybe some people from abroad. You might also start something new, maybe like a new educational kind of like chapter, maybe enroll on a course or something like that, that is likely to broaden your horizons, my dear Cancerians. And I feel like you've got a lot to learn also from the people that you're connecting with. You might decide to initiate something that brings people together, maybe to start, I don't know, like a new community, or to kind of like set the foundation for a new community, for a new group type of activity that is meant to expand the worldview and the knowledge and the perspectives of people. New spiritual beginning, new beginning in terms of your connection with the divine. You might feel like, how should I put it? Maybe this sounds very woo, but you might feel like you have a much broader understanding of your connection with like a higher power, your connection with the divine, and you seem to derive, as a result, meaning, as in meaning for your life, the meaning of life, in a new way. There's also a chance that a new mentor or a new guide or a new teacher could enter your life around this time. So if you are open to that, that is fantastic. If you want to kick off something new, I would recommend maybe kicking off something new in the educational space, in the spiritual space, but also in terms of your collaboration with foreign lands and foreign countries, maybe something that involves traveling at the same time, my lovely Cancerians. Another very significant event, 11th of March until the 5th of April, Venus transits your 9th house. You're gonna love this, Cancerians, you're going to love this. So this is a fabulous aspect for traveling, first and foremost, especially if that traveling also maybe involves an element of work or productivity or kind of like getting things done, because let's not forget, Saturn is still transiting your 9th house. It is a fantastic time for all activities that involve connecting with others on spiritual topics, educational topics, academic topics, or maybe connecting with others when it comes to planning a trip, going abroad, and things like that. You might really enjoy all of these activities again, but it does feel like you have to stick to the rules at the same time. You have to kind of like follow a plan. You have to plan things properly because of the presence of Saturn. Venus is also the ruler of your 4th house of home. So you might plan a trip together with family members, or you might travel together with family members throughout this period. And it is likely to feel quite enlightening and, let's say, to add a new layer of dimension to your relationship with family members. A new layer of understanding, maybe, what is actually valuable and important to these family members who you're maybe spending time with throughout this period. I'm talking about the 9th house, and I'm realizing I'm trying to be extra philosophical, and sometimes it sounds like that. I'm like, yes, I'm trying to like convey this sort of like message that is enlightening, and again, very 9th house, right? Because we're talking about the 9th house. But from a concrete, tangible, material perspective, as I said, take advantage of this, travel, spend time with family, travel with family, make plans to travel with them, possibly make plans to connect with people abroad, and don't forget to really take your time to organize things properly because of the presence of Saturn, my dear Cancerians. Another very significant event in March, and then we're going to go through the other key dates. I'm taking you through the most important events, and then we're going to go through the key dates, Cancerians. Full moon lunar eclipse, 25th of March, active week before, week after. This is activating your 4th house, 10th house axis. It's a lunar eclipse that is happening with the south node. So a release, a letting go, a saying goodbye, a wrapping up of a chapter connected with your home life, family life, and maybe even living situation, my dear Cancerians. Some of you could be saying goodbye to a home. Some of you could be selling a home. Some of you could be wrapping up your existing home and living situation, maybe because you're moving, or maybe because the family is growing potentially. I don't know. You might decide to do a thorough cleanup or cleanse or kind of like purge of the things that you no longer need in your home. You could be saying goodbye to a family member, maybe because you're moving. Because let's not forget that Venus, which is the ruler of the eclipse, is in the 9th house. So, for example, especially for those of you who have kids, maybe your child is kind of like moving abroad. Maybe they're going to university. Maybe you realize that the time when you're no longer going to be together in the same kind of like environment is drawing closer and closer. I'd say it feels like you are ready to let go of an existing dynamic, also Cancerians, when it comes to the relationship with a family member. Maybe a dynamic that was no longer functioning. I do see you being very willing to make concessions, being very willing to be tolerant and forgiving. And the same is kind of valid for the other person who maybe you're having a challenging relationship with. You might also help a parent wrap something up in their lives. Maybe move, relocate, or take care of something tangible and concrete, maybe connected with legal matters, foreign kind of affairs, for example, like traveling, visas, residency, and things like that. It could also be a time when a parent actually sees a legal issue coming to a close, coming to an end, I believe quite successfully. And you might breathe a sigh of relief. They might breathe a sigh of relief. Everyone might breathe a big sigh of relief, essentially. For those of you who are married and who have in-laws, this full moon could also bring a matter to a close for one of your in-laws, probably in a very successful way. But at the same time, there is a sense of like an era coming to an end. Let's put it this way. Venus, the ruler of the eclipse, is nicely aspected to Jupiter. You have a lot of reasons to be hopeful for the future. If you're saying goodbye to a home, if you're relocating, if you're making changes in the home, there is a strong sense of belief and confidence in the future having better things in store for you, I want to say, which it probably does have better things in store. I want to say. If you need help, if you need support to bring something to a close, don't hesitate to ask for that support from friends, partners, loved ones, in-laws, because everyone's here to help you, I'd say. Last but not least, Cancerians, there is a chance that some of you could have to relocate or change your living situation because of some exciting development on the horizon professionally. Some sort of a culminating point professionally for you Cancerians in a new direction. But more on that when we do when we dive into the horoscope for April next month. So these are the most important events, astrologically speaking, in March, Cancerians. Now, if we go to the very beginning of the month, let me take you through some of the most significant dates in addition to these very big events. 1st of March, the Sun sextiles Jupiter in your 11th house, a really pleasant encounter with friends, a sense of hope and faith and confidence in your plans for the future. You seem to receive a lot of inspiration when it comes to addressing your goals and plans for the future. You seem to feel very inspired, maybe, by a friend or by someone who you really admire, who you might see as a mentor or a teacher. 3rd of March, also day before and day after, Venus squares Uranus. Okay, so this is where I see you maybe feeling a little bit at odds with a friend, maybe because you've got differing values, maybe because they seem to you quite kind of like shocking, or they have some sort of like some sort of a surprise thing that they share with you. A change of plans when it comes to friends. So if you had been planning to see them, if you had been planning to get together, something unexpected could come in and all of a sudden you need to make new plans. I don't believe you're super excited about this, but it is what it is. Just putting it out there. It's also possible that a friend might have to attend to something at home, like some sort of crisis. And again, that could result in a little bit of a change of plans for you Cancerians. There is also a possibility that a friend might have something quite shocking to reveal to you, and you might not know how you feel about it. It could cause a little bit of like tension and friction in the relationship. Speaking of tension and friction in the relationship with friends, I see the same thing but magnified and probably even stronger. 9th of March, also day before, day after, Mars squares Uranus in the 11th house. I would not be surprised if you had like a random, sudden, shocking, surprising conflict with a friend. You might feel very kind of like taken aback because you're not on the same page. They might take you by surprise by reacting quite negatively. I don't want to say violently. And the relationship, I want to say it can suffer. You might also hear news of a friend having some sort of like of an incident. I don't want to say accident, but the 9th of March, also day before and day after, is a little bit accident prone, with Mars tensely aspecting Uranus. So there could be something kind of like blowing up, something connected with electricity, gadgets, technology, Yeah, these are the big ones. Maybe even heat. And you could hear some disturbing news coming from a friend. Generally, I recommend to everyone, 9th of March, day before and day after, to be quite careful how you use heat, sharp tools, and gadgetry and kind of like electrical devices, because things can blow up, I wanna say. Let's see what else is happening. Okay, so 17th of March, the Sun conjuncts Neptune in the 9th house. A lot of confusion may be connected with a trip or a lot of like details that are not super clear. Careful, because this can be a day when you feel a bit discombobulated, let's say, about a trip or about an educational matter, maybe also about a legal matter that involves you spending money. Before you say yes to something, before you move forward with something in these spheres, so legal, travel, but also maybe educational, my recommendation would be to do a thorough investigation of the facts, of the small print, of the fine print. I want to say that this is a great day to allow yourselves, Cancerians, to receive insight and inspiration. Let's call it even enlightenment from a higher power, from something beyond the 3D reality. So it can be a fabulous day for meditation. It can be a fabulous day to maybe pray, for instance. But when it comes to concrete matters, a little bit of fog, a little bit of fog. Similarly, the 8th of March is quite a foggy day when it comes to facts, data, numbers, and traveling. And 8th of March and the 17th of March, things might not be exactly what they appear to be. So if something seems too good to be true, careful not to fall prey to illusions or scammers, for that matter. 19th of March, Mercury conjuncts the North Node in the 10th house. Oh my gosh, you seem to be either like talking to someone very important for your career, having a very important meeting or a very significant encounter for your career, and maybe you don't realize it in the moment, but it might turn out to be very important in the long term. You seem to have a way with words, and you seem to have like a very important message to deliver in the professional setup or in a public setup that may really alter your career path for the better, I wanna say. It also feels like this is a day when you become aware of some of the new things that you need to learn in order to progress from a professional perspective. You are excited, your mind is super sharp. My instinct is to say, just say yes to whatever information is coming your way, and whatever you realize you need to develop at a mental level in order to make things happen professionally, Cancerians. Aries season starts 20th of March, so for the next month, I want to say that the focus and the spotlight is very much on your career path, vocational path, contribution to society, as well as status and reputation. So you might feel like there's a huge spotlight on you in terms of your career, in terms of your long-term goals career-wise, and in terms of how you contribute to society for the next month. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn. It feels like you need to commit to something for the long term, something that involves maybe hard work and collaboration on the following topics. Let's say education, academia, legal matters, but also maybe traveling, some sort of a long-term collaboration with someone who lives abroad, maybe who you have to travel to see, to get together with. You might also commit to something in the long term that you're going to apply in your relationship sector in terms of relationship dynamics. So you might commit, for example, to opening up more, to sharing more of your vulnerability, for instance. It does feel like this is very kind of like solid connection that you're making at this time. So if someone new is coming in, it does have the potential to be a long-term collaboration, a long-term connection. Professionally, it can be romantically, but it can also be professionally, my dear Cancerians. 22nd of March, Mars enters your 9th house until the end of April. You're probably going to be putting a lot of energy into traveling, legal matters, and educational matters. You might also feel very kind of like adamant and very kind of like energized when it comes to defending what you believe in and taking action in alignment with what you believe in. You might also be active in terms of having to travel for career purposes throughout this period, or kind of planning traveling for career purposes, my lovely Cancerians. Mars is also the ruler of your 5th house. So if you are traveling last week of March, from the 22nd of March until the end of April, even if you're traveling for career purposes, it can actually be a lot more enjoyable than you thought it would be. It can be a lot more fun than you thought it would be. Careful not to be overly impatient. Especially when it comes to collaborating with people from abroad, or when it comes to foreign matters, for instance, as I said, traveling or connecting with people from an international office, because if you are impatient, you can get into a little bit of a fight. And the month ends with a very nice aspect on the 28th of March. Venus is sextiling Uranus. Maybe a sudden unexpected encounter with a friend. You're super happy to see them. They're super happy to see you. A social kind of like occasion is very like fun and enjoyable, unexpectedly so. And you might even receive some sort of like unexpected inspiration from someone who you meet maybe whilst you're going out, having fun, or whilst you're, I don't know, going to like a cultural event or going to the theater. They might have something that really kind of like inspires your creativity and your imagination, and generally you seem to get along very well with whoever it is that you're connecting with around the 20th of March, maybe also the day before and the day after. Cancerians, that is March for you, for us, for me also. Cancer rising here. My dear Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings. What does March have in store for you? Well, the month actually starts with a really nice aspect in the sky. On the 1st of March, the sun will sextile Jupiter in your house of career. It feels like you are really hopeful and really optimistic when it comes to your professional life, when it comes to your professional path. You may notice around the 1st of March that an issue that caused chaos, or that was a source of crisis in your professional life, is getting fixed, it is getting solved. And I do believe the part that you played in it involved maybe you doing nothing. And I know that sounds maybe really strange, really weird, but sometimes it's good to do nothing. Sometimes it's good to let the chips fall where they may. Sometimes taking a step back actually allows a situation to solve itself. I mean, that might involve other people stepping in, that might involve all sorts of things happening, but essentially I see some sort of potential crisis being fixed or solved, and you being really pleased with this around the 1st of March. Now on the 3rd of March, however, and I'm also looking at the day before and the day after, there's something going on when it comes to your relationship with a person that you work with. It could be a collaborator, it could be a client, it could be a boss. There is some tension, there is some friction in a professional relationship. It feels like both you and the other person are being quite stubborn about what is important to you, about what you value, and it really feels like around this time, maybe everyone needs to take a bit of a step back, to maybe disconnect from the intensity of the situation, and maybe think about the situation a lot more objectively, let's say. You can also hear some sort of shocking news, my dear Leos, about a partner. And it could be something that involves their career path. Maybe all of a sudden your partner is telling you, listen, I'm going to quit my job. And you're like, oh no, why? How is that going to affect us? It does look like it could, I mean, there is a possibility that that it could also affect you, Leos, if your partner decides to do something. It could also affect your status and your reputation, and you're a little bit unnerved by that. Also, people that you interact with around the 3rd of March, give or take a day before and the day after, not just in the professional space, but in general, might act really in like all sorts of like weird, rebellious, unconventional, like shocking manners. 9th of March, and also the day before and the day after, this is probably my least favorite day of the month. I mean, my least favorite period of the month. we're going to have a Mars square Uranus aspect in the sky. It is exact on the 9th of March, but as I said, you might feel it a day before, a day after. Sudden unexpected conflict, sudden unexpected fight with a partner, be it a business partner, be it a life partner. I would be quite careful what it is that you say to this person at this point in time, how you approach this situation, how you approach this conflict, how much you push for your belief system to be adhered to or followed. I feel like there's a clash in terms of principles between you and someone else who is quite important to you, my dear Leos. Very, very careful if you don't want this to lead to a massive breakup, because it could. Mars-Uranus is a very independent, freedom-loving combination, and it also bolts really fast. So let's say you fight with someone and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they leave and they're like, you're never gonna hear from me again. And they're not being dramatic. They might really, really, really mean it. So careful how you approach this, because Mars-Uranus can determine or can influence people to do rash things or impulsive things very suddenly. Mars is also the ruler of your 4th house of home. You could have a fight with a partner over a home and family related matter. The thing is, everyone is being like really, really, really stubborn, and I don't believe you're going to find some sort of a middle path around the 9th of March. You might need to wait for a little bit of time. I mean, I am seeing you much more likely, Leos, to be able to like patch things up and be more accommodating and meet someone else in kind of like in the middle, after Venus goes into Pisces from the 11th of March onwards until the 5th of April. But before that, very, very, very careful if you don't want to negatively impact a situation, or if you basically don't want to break up with someone for good. I'm thinking of a partner. As I said, it could be a romantic partner, but it could also be someone who you collaborate with. I would tread quite carefully around the 9th of March. 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a new moon in your 8th house. New beginning, new chapter, a time to set intentions when it comes to the following. When it comes to the topic of shared assets and shared resources, what do I mean by that? Let's say you are in a relationship and you've got like a joint account with a partner, and you have to discuss about things like shared expenses, for instance. Around the 10th of March, at the time of this new moon, I would say it is actually a good idea to sit down and to revisit shared expenses. The new one is in a nice aspect to Uranus, so you might find a new formula. You might basically approach the sector of shared assets and shared finances in a novel way, in a different way, my dear Leos, and this is probably going to work for everyone, both for you and for your partner. Jupiter, the ruler of the new moon, is in a nice aspect to Saturn. This could also be a time when So I'm seeing a possibility of this new moon being a time of maybe you hearing news of the fact that your bonus or your commission-based job, for instance, for those of you who work in a commission-based environment, that's going to work differently, but it's going to work differently in a manner that is advantageous to you. So you're basically going to be better off, Leos, financially. So you could hear news of your bonus. You could hear news of, I don't know, like a new commission-based way of working. And I think, well, I'm pretty sure actually that you're going to be quite happy with how things are likely to impact you materially speaking. Because the 8th house is also the house of other people's money, if you're in a relationship, your partner could have some good news. They might start making more money, or there could be a new source of income coming in. This can also be the time when you start investing, Leos, or when you start thinking about how to make the money work for you rather than you just having to work for the money. A fresh start, a new beginning when it comes to investments, stocks, passive income, and so on. Also, this is a good time to approach taxes and debts differently. For instance, you might be able to clear off some debt. You might be able to get rid of some expenses. You might be able to maybe, I don't know exactly how this works, depending on where you are in the world. Maybe a remortgage, for example, or get like a better interest rate on an existing loan. So I would look into all of these and basically find solutions that can put you in a better position financially. Because you're probably going to be able to find them, and it's probably going to have a very auspicious impact upon your material situation in general. This can also be a time, Leos, when you approach your fears in a new way. So some of you could start, for example, therapy, let's say, or some of you could start cutting yourselves a little bit more slack and doing some of the things that you are afraid of, kind of like facing your fears, and doing something that puts you in a very vulnerable position, that makes you feel very vulnerable, that is kind of, how should we say, maybe public facing, let's put it this way. So let's say if your fear is that you're not going to be liked, you might decide to just cut yourself some slack and just do the thing that you're afraid of and put yourself in front of an audience more often. And I gotta say, if you decide to do this, it is probably going to work out really, really well and nicely in your favor. 11th of March, as I said, Venus enters Pisces until the 5th of April in your 8th house. This is a fabulous time for investments, but obviously please remember that you are completely and totally responsible for your financial situation. This is not financial advice. Essentially, you may feel like opportunities to invest or to benefit from other people's resources come to you throughout this period. You are likely to attract resources from others. So if you are looking for investors, sponsors, if you're looking to apply for like a scholarship or a bursary or something like that, this is a period to really take advantage of, my dear Leos. This is also a time when you are likely to really enjoy, if you ask me, Leos, your sex life. Now, the thing is, you might decide to be a lot more accommodating and, my apologies, flexible, let's say, when it comes to what your partner likes. So you might decide to kind of like let down your guard a little bit and put in some effort in order to please the partner. And it is probably going to work out quite nicely. And it looks like everyone is going to benefit. You, the other person, everyone's liking this. Let's say. I do apologize. Also, as I've mentioned, when Venus transits the 8th house, it might feel a lot easier to reach some sort of middle ground, some sort of like common denominator, when it comes to matters that involve shared assets, shared expenses, and shared resources, Leos. Give me 1 second. Okay. One last thing. Venus is also the ruler of your 10th house of career, Leos. If you're hoping to get a bonus, if there's anything else that you could personally do in order to ensure that that happens, from the 11th of March until the 5th of April, I do believe that bosses, managers, people in positions of power are very likely to be on your side, and you can kind of like persuade them, and you can convince them, and you can charm them to kind of like to see how valuable you are and to probably get some sort of like a bonus. 17th of March, the Sun conjuncts Neptune in your 8th house. If something is fuzzy, if something is unclear, if something looks a little bit ambiguous when it comes to an expense, or when it comes to a debt, or when it comes to some sort of tax that you've paid, I would look into it a little bit deeper, Leos, because there could be some sort of mistake, or there could be something that was kind of like wrong, let's say in your tax return or something like that. This might also feel like a time when you, 17th of March, maybe also day before, day after, when you find it easier to express yourselves, Leos, when it comes to something that caused suffering or disappointment or disillusionment in the past, or when it comes to something that makes you feel very, very vulnerable. So you might feel ready to kind of like open up, shatter the locks of anything that you've been keeping inside that caused, as I said, suffering or pain in the past. And because you are opening up, because you're expressing that, because you're giving yourselves permission to be vulnerable, Leos, this can be a very healing time. I will say it. 19th of March, Mercury conjuncts the North Node in the 9th house. You could have like a very significant encounter with someone who you have a lot to learn from. I even dare call it a fated encounter. You could also have an encounter with someone who you're likely to benefit from financially, but also in terms of them having a positive impact upon your plans for the future. And your mind is very, very clear and sharp, and it's sending you like really concrete mental signals when it comes to what steps you should take in order to fulfill your long-term goals, my dear Leos. 20th of March, for the next month, the Sun transits Aries in your 9th house, so you're probably going to be very invested in matters connected with traveling, education, foreign lands, foreign countries, academia, but maybe also legal matters, and you're probably going to be able to see the big picture of your life a lot easier, and really kind of like put your life into perspective, into a broader perspective, let's say, Leos. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn. I feel like you're making some sort of a commitment, long-term commitment. I feel like you've got some sort of duty of a financial nature towards someone, or you're making a commitment that involves finances towards someone. This could also be a time when someone else makes a commitment to you financially. It could be an investor or someone like that. This can also be the beginning of a very fruitful long-term business partnership, my dear Leos. But remember that you've got obligations and the other person has got obligations, and this is not a matter to be taken lightly. This involves a very serious set of obligations, so do act cautiously before you sign anything. I'm not saying don't. I am saying this could actually turn out quite well, but do consider the long-term implications, and do consider the fact that you're going to have to stick to some very strict rules, I'd say. 22nd of March, Mars enters Pisces in your 8th house until the 30th of April. You're probably going to put a lot of energy, a lot of action into financial matters that involve maybe your home, your family life, mortgages, loans, maybe investing in the home or investing in real estate, but also putting a lot of effort and energy into maybe paying for education, paying for your academic path, or paying for some sort of like legal matter. It does feel like you might need to really push for and maybe even fight for something. I mean, Mars always fights for something. Let's put it this way. Mars wants victory. Fight for something, but something that involves a certain degree of selflessness when it comes to someone else's finances. For example, you might put a lot of energy into helping a parent win some sort of court case. That is a possibility. So you might fight in someone else's corner, let's say. There's also a chance that you might fight over shared assets and shared resources throughout this period. Mars in Pisces is let's put it this way. It doesn't necessarily have this like super kind of like clearly defined aim. So Pisces can really kind of like scatter the energies of Mars. It can bring this sort of like fogginess, like ocean kind of like watery fogginess when it comes to like a clear sense of direction. Mars in Pisces can also fight via lies. So careful when it comes to your opponents, whoever it is that you're fighting against. Careful when it comes to noticing whether your opponents are or aren't utilizing lies or illusions in order to win. Yeah, just saying. You might also fight to expose lies throughout this period, Leos. 25th of March, active week before, week after. Da-da-da, we've got a new eclipse on our hands. Eclipse season is back. Leos, full moon lunar eclipse activating your 3rd house, 9th house axis. It is an eclipse happening with the south node. It is a full moon lunar eclipse. So I feel like something is coming to a close, something is coming to an end. When it comes to your education, possibly you might be wrapping up a course, a class. You might be wrapping up an academic path. This could also be a time when you pay the final installment for an educational matter, or for university, for instance, or for a legal matter. So this eclipse could actually bring to a close, to a culminating point, and then to a close, a legal matter. So if you have been involved in any sort of like trial, you might hear a decision around this time that I want to say puts you actually in a good position financially. So you are likely to get something out of this. But because Venus, the ruler of the eclipse, is in conjunction to Saturn, maybe it's not as much as you thought it would be. Nevertheless, it is very significant. If you are traveling around this time, which is very, very possible, you might have like an important presentation, and it could involve some sort of like traveling. I do believe you are likely to persuade whoever it is that you need to persuade. But they might give you a little bit less than you expected of them, let's say. In 20th of March, the month actually ends really nicely with Venus sextiling Uranus. Unexpected maybe gifts or praise or acknowledgement from someone that you work with, from a boss, an authority figure, a client. Also maybe an unexpected win in terms of maybe like bonus or an investment of some sorts. Virgos, Virgo suns and Virgo risings. What does March have in store for you, my lovely Virgos? Well. There's some work, there's some action on the relationship front, there's some action on the financial front. Relationship-wise, I do have to say this. There's 2 big events happening for you Virgos. New moon in Pisces on the 10th of March, and Venus going into Pisces on the 11th of March. Yes, Mars is also going into your house of relationships on the 22nd of March, but we're going to get to that. Let's start with the new moon in Pisces. 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after. There's going to be this new moon that I really like because it's harmoniously aspecting Uranus. So this can be the beginning of a new partnership, of an exciting new partnership. Something that involves maybe traveling, or something that involves collaborating with people from abroad, or collaborating with people on some sort of an academic project. Whatever fresh start you're experiencing in the partnership and the relationship sector, it does feel like it can be really like thrilling and electrifying and almost like awakening and revolutionary, but in a pleasant way. New partnership, it can mean partnership on several fronts, Virgos, which I do want to stress out. It can be well, it is possible that it could actually be a romantic partnership. I do want to say this at the beginning of a new relationship. But it can also be a partnership that is helping you accomplish your long-term goals, Virgos. Jupiter, which is the ruler of the new moon, is in the 9th house. So I do believe you might have someone on your side. So you might start collaborating with someone who can teach you, who can share their wisdom with you, who can kind of like impart knowledge to you so that you can accomplish your long-term goals. And you might have some long-term goals on the health front as well. So for example, you could start collaborating with a coach, a health coach. You might start collaborating with an acupuncturist, for instance. It's possible, or a specialist in homeopathy, for instance. It feels like you've got a lot to learn from this person. So I would look at new beginnings in terms of collaborations with people who know more than you know on a specific topic. For those of you who are already in a relationship, this can be a fresh start for your partner. So the new moon puts the spotlight on your significant other. They might feel very enthusiastic about learning something new, broadening their horizons, and evolving as an individual. Venus, so from the 11th of March until the 5th of April, Venus transits your house of relationships, Virgos. I told you there's a lot of relationship action this month, right? And I'm taking you through some of the most important events. Venus is the planet of love, pleasure, enjoyment, sensuality, values. Venus is the planet of beauty, of art, of design, of harmony, of peace. So Venus transiting your house of relationships and interactions with other people is likely to bring all of that and more in your relationship sector. Now, when I say relationships, I do mean any relationships, to be fair, because the 7th house is where we interact with others. The 1st house is us. The 7th house is the other person that is in front of us. So the person in front of us could be our romantic partner, and Venus transiting the 7th house is superb for romantic relationships. So if you're looking to go into a relationship, to meet someone, this is a fabulous time to date and to say yes to invitations. But the 7th house is also where we interact with someone else. So you might feel, Virgos, like other people that you interact with are particularly nice, gentle, peaceful, accommodating, willing to please you, willing to look after you, willing to give you what it is that you want so that you can be at peace, let's say. Venus, Virgos, is also the ruler of your 2nd house and of your 9th house. So Venus transiting the 7th house of relationships, 11th of March until the 5th of April, is actually a really good time to form business partnerships. And in particular, on the 21st of March, give or take a day before and a day after, I do believe that you might actually start building the foundation for a long-term business partnership, something that can be very fruitful for everyone involved, materially speaking. Now, Venus transiting the 7th house is also a really good time to get in the good graces. Not in your good graces, because I mean, you should be in your own good graces already. But basically, it's a really good time to score extra points with your romantic partner. If you are in a relationship, if you're married and whatnot, it is a fabulous time to take your partner out for dates, to bring gifts to the partner. They're probably going to be very, very, very much appreciated and really solidify the bond. Let's see. Another thing that is happening on the relationship front, 22nd of March, Mars enters Pisces in your 7th house until the 30th of April. Now, this is where relationships might feel like they get this sort of like accelerated pace. Things start to move a lot quicker, especially since before the 22nd of March, on the 21st, there seemed to be some sort of like commitment that you made to someone else, a partner, a romantic partner, a business partner. And after the 22nd of March, things seem to accelerate on the partnership front until the end of April. Partners, collaborators might become much more, much pushier, much more direct, much blunter. They might be a lot more, how should we say, in your face. When it comes to what they want, when it comes to what's important to them, they could become a little bit, or they could come across as being more impatient than they normally are. Mars, Virgos, is also the ruler of your 3rd house, so I would not be surprised if from the 22nd of March until the end of April, the people that you're interacting with are a lot more outspoken. I mean, it's a good idea also for you to be outspoken and to kind of like to call things by their name, just so that whatever it is that you're working on together with someone else, doesn't take forever to happen. Let's say. You seem to be very kind of like driven and motivated to make things happen together with someone else. However, be careful. So one word of advice. Mars is also the ruler of your 8th house, so there can be a higher than usual maybe possibility or potential to go into fights or conflicts over money and shared assets and shared expenses with someone else. Just saying, just for you to be aware. Now, I realized that I started off with a massive focus on your relationship sector, Virgos, but that is actually one of the most significant areas of focus for you in March. And I know that some people are going to say, Rux, I'm not in a relationship. I don't want to have a romantic partner. I don't care. Think about other relationships in your life. As I said, think about business partnerships, think about professional connections, think about connections with the people that you interact with in a one-to-one setup, be it in a work environment, be it in your personal life. As I said, think about your relationship with people such as your coach, your accountant, your doctor, your tax advisor, maybe even your in-laws, I want to say, but again, maybe you're not married. So please do not reduce. This is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, because I sometimes get people saying, no, I'm not with anyone. And then they're like, relationships don't matter to me, or like this whole topic about relationships doesn't apply to me. I'm like, do you live on an island? Are you a hermit? Do you not interact with anyone in your life? And I suppose there are some people who don't interact with anyone, but you're watching this on YouTube probably, or listening to it on a podcast. So the majority of people who are going to listen to this, I imagine they are not completely cut off from technology or from the world or from others. And they have interactions with other people, even if they're not in a romantic relationship. So please do not reduce the topic of relationships and partnerships and interactions with others to just romantic partners. What I've said here, of course, this is a general horoscope, and in a general horoscope, not everything is going to apply to you. If you want to get an accurate, personalized forecast, if you want to get an accurate, granular reading that applies to you, that is something that you can do by working with an astrologer. But in general horoscopes, not everything is going to apply to you because it is just general. For an accurate forecast, for an accurate reading, for an accurate horoscope, we need to look at the entire birth chart. So rant over. I had a moment because I just remembered, or like in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna get those comments from people that say, no, I'm not in a relationship. And I'm like, that's okay. But surely you must have other people in your life. So I had to digress for a second, but I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the point. I'm gonna go back to March. Virgos, this is not personal. I love you. I've actually got so many Virgos around me. Two of my closest friends are actually Virgos. But hey, I had to say it. Someone had to say it. I had to be kind of like super fastidious about this because we are talking about Virgo. This is the Virgo horoscope. So going back to March, as I said, a lot going on in your relationships and interactions with others sector. If we start from the very beginning of the month, 1st of March, the Sun sextiles Jupiter. In your 9th house, I do believe you're learning something from someone else. Someone is inspiring you. Maybe a conversation with someone is inspiring you. An interaction with someone might also prove to be quite enlightening and maybe even healing, I'd say. And it might make you feel quite good about yourselves. 3rd of March, also day before and the day after, Venus in your house of day-to-day work and health is squaring Uranus. So here an interaction with a coworker, a colleague might not go exactly as planned. Maybe, so for a variety of reasons. Uranus is disruption and the unexpected. So maybe you were supposed to jump on a call with someone and they don't show up. Or maybe you thought you would talk about, I don't know, like budgets with someone at work and they go on a complete tangent and the meeting doesn't go as planned. But essentially, An interaction with someone in a work environment is probably not going to go as planned. Also, if you are planning to travel for work purposes around this time, I mean, I would be flexible about the diary and the schedule, because once again, it might not necessarily work out in the way that you thought it would. Health-wise, I would be quite careful on this day, especially with things like sugar and like blood sugar levels, because Venus in general, in when it comes to medical astrology, and that's a completely different, that's a full-blown field in and of itself. Venus rules over sugar and blood sugar levels. It rules over other things as well, but essentially I would make sure not to like overdo it with the sugar or with the sugary stuff, because it could have some sort of like random unexpected repercussions, let's say. 9th of March. Now, this is probably my least favorite day in March. 9th of March, also day before and day after, you're potentially going to feel this, but especially on the 9th of March, Mars squares Uranus. Now, Mars-Uranus is quite infamous for kind of like accidents. Mars-Uranus is an unexpected, sudden disruption of things, and Mars can be quite destructive. I mean, it is, after all, the god of war. So it can bring an unexpected accident in the workplace, or an unexpected accident when you're working out, when you're taking care of your health. This is definitely not... Okay, so please take the advice of your doctor. This is not medical advice, but if I were looking at the astrology of March and thinking, oh, like when should someone go for surgery, I would completely avoid the 9th of March. 9th of March, also the day before and the day after, because activities that involve sharp tools might not go as planned. They might deviate from what was planned with Uranus in the mix. So I would also be careful how you use heat and electricity and sharp tools on the 9th of March and the day before and the day after, because, as I said, the risk for accidental damage can be quite high. There's also a significant risk for conflicts, sudden conflicts in the workplace over philosophical, religious, political matters, Virgos. So tread carefully if you can. If we move a little bit further in time, let's see. We've got on the 19th of March a Mercury conjunct the North Node in the 8th house. This could be a day when you hear, maybe also a day before and the day after, of a significant opportunity maybe to invest in something, or where you kind of like understand at a much kind of like deeper level something that has been bugging you or bothering you or causing nervous tension, and you might decide to approach it differently, and you might also have this sense of like novel awareness. Aries season starts on the 20th of March in your 8th house, so for the next, I'm gonna say for the next month or so, your focus might very much be on taxes, debts, but also investments, and how to maybe prioritize this particular life sector. One of the most significant events of the month, I know I've talked about what's happening in your house of relationships, but I really have to give a massive shout out to the eclipse. 25th of March, eclipse season starts again. 25th of March, active also week before, week after. We've got a full moon lunar eclipse activating your financial axis. There's a massive, massive, massive spotlight being placed on your money and finances. This can be a time when you release a source of income, or when you let go of a big pot of money, potentially, maybe because you are paying off something. You could be paying off a significant debt. You could be paying off maybe something that has been weighing you, I want to say that has been weighing you down, and maybe causing also some tension in a specific relationship. And if you're paying this off, I do believe that a relationship is likely to benefit from it. There is also a possibility that you might let go of a source of income and rely on a partner's income, or on someone else's income for a while. If that is the case, and sometimes this is necessary, I mean, for example, let's say you're a mother mother going on maternity leave. And your income might decrease significantly potentially, and you're going to have to rely more on your partner's income. But what I wanted to say is that a significant other or someone who you can collaborate with quite well is there to have your back. So don't be afraid to fully rely on them. This can also be a time when you're paying like a big deposit or like a big lump sum of money for educational purposes or for travel purposes potentially, and maybe also paying off something that is connected with a legal matter. For example, let's say you are applying, I don't know, for like foreign citizenship, and you have to pay the amount that you have to pay for your like passport. It can be quite a big sum, but I do believe it is overall giving you a significant peace of mind, Virgos. So I want to say that you're parting with some sort of like sum of money, but it's for a good cause, and it does seem to kind of like to generate relief. On a more symbolic level, it feels like your approach to money, finances, and values is changing very drastically. So your entire philosophy around money, budgeting, expenses is changing very drastically. You might realize how your old set of beliefs when it comes to money wasn't serving you. You're ready to let it go. 20th of March, really nice day. You might also feel this energy the day before and the day after. Venus sextiles Uranus. Very pleasant surprise from a potential romantic partner or from someone who just really loves you, appreciates you, someone who has your back, I want to say, Virgos. If you're going out, if you are, I don't know, attending like some sort of like social or cultural event, you could unexpectedly bump into someone, and they might really make you feel good and make you kind of like enjoy the night out or enjoy the day out. So really nice day, and a really nice day also for a romantic surprise if you are open to something like that happening, Virgos. My dear Libras, Libra suns and Libra risings, what does March have in store for you? Well, quite a bit of work. I do believe you're going to be quite busy in March, and there is also very a significant focus on your relationship sector, especially towards the end of the month when we have a full moon lunar eclipse coming up. It's coming up on the 25th of March. It's also going to be active in the week before and the week after. But let me not jump straight to the end of the month, and let's start with the beginning of the month. So on the 1st of March, my lovely Libras, the sun is sextiling Jupiter. I feel like you have the ability to solve or to fix something at work with a lot of confidence, with a lot of empathy at the same time, by tapping into your intuition, and I want to say by being the bigger person if it involves if this issue at work involves interacting with others. So I feel like you're able to be the bigger person and to kind of like to stabilize the situation by approaching it from a place of empathy. And intuition. So the aspect is exact on the 1st of March, but you might also feel it in the day before and maybe the day after as well. On the 3rd of March, this is something that you could also be feeling the day before and the day after. So from the 2nd until the 4th of March, Venus will square Uranus. Some sort of disruption in your romantic sector. You might hear something about a partner, or a partner might do something that really takes you by surprise, that causes a little bit of a stir that you didn't see coming. You might be a tiny little bit shocked because maybe you did not think that your partner would do something like this. I do believe that Venus-Uranus is very, well, it is an aspect that generally is associated with space and distance and freedom in relationships. So if you are in a romantic relationship or if you're seeing someone, either of you might need a little bit of like space and distance from the other person, I'd say. There could be some information that is being revealed connected with your partner that just doesn't sit well with you, and you might not want to have like a full-blown confrontation with them, and you might just want to kind of like step away and breathe and take it all in and not act impulsively. Let's say. There is a possibility that you could have like a chance encounter with someone around the 3rd of March that you did not necessarily believe that you would maybe meet in a specific environment. So a chance encounter maybe with like an old romantic flame or with someone who you've got some sort of like chemistry with, but there is tension. I do have to say this. I mean, tension isn't bad. Tension can mean, I mean, this could be quite electrifying also. On the 8th of March, Mercury conjuncts Neptune in your 6th house. I do believe you can be quite inspired in a professional environment when it comes to utilizing your mind and your imagination for creative purposes, for artistic purposes. Maybe also utilizing your mind to kind of like to patch things up with someone, to make them feel better about themselves, to communicate in a very kind of like gentle, compassionate manner. However, the 8th of March is not the best day, and I'm also looking at the day before and the day after. So these are not the best days to work with numbers and facts and data at work because you can make mistakes, you might find mistakes, you might work with the incorrect numbers, and it can all become a little bit of a blur. Also, if you hear any news or if you're dealing with anything connected with your health, I wouldn't necessarily believe everything that you're reading or everything that you're finding maybe on the internet if you're Googling something about your health, just because you might go down a rabbit hole that is completely from the realm of fantasy and it's got nothing to do with the reality of your health situation. So just putting it out there. 9th of March is probably one of my least favorite days. 9th of March, and this aspect is going to be active also the day before and the day after. Mars squares Uranus. This is an aspect that is quite prone to kind of like incidents and accidents and sudden disruptive, kind of like maybe even destructive occurrences. Careful when you're doing something fun, such as, I don't know, playing a game, like playing a team sport or a team game, playing football, for instance, or whatever it is that people play these days. I would be careful because the risk for accidents is quite high. I mean, in general, Mars-Uranus is quite descriptive of sudden, kind of like shocking, unexpected disruptions, such as, like I said, accidents. So especially if you're playing a sport or a game or if you're doing something fun, I wouldn't overdo it. I wouldn't try to like push it. I wouldn't kind of like do too much at once. I would really advise against excessive impulsivity and excessive competitiveness because it can backfire. This can also be a time when you have a sudden unexpected fight with someone who you're interested in romantically. It is a possibility, or with a child if you do have children, my dear Libras. It's also a possibility for those of you who have kids that your child might fight with someone on this day, but maybe also the day before and the day after, and you might need to have a very uncomfortable conversation with them. 10th of March, new moon in your 6th house. I like this new moon. New beginning, new intentions, new direction, fresh start when it comes to your work. So you could start a new job. Some of you could start a new job or a new work-related project. So a new project might kick off. Why do I like this new moon? Because Jupiter, the ruler of the new moon, is in a nice aspect to Saturn. So it feels like it could be something that you can work on for the long term. It does feel like your work is transforming in some shape or form. Maybe you're doing something more and you're kind of like something more, something new, but you're also at the same time maybe releasing and letting go of some old tasks or some old aspects of your job, maybe some old tools. This can also be a time when someone new joins the team, and it does feel like it's likely to impact in a positive way your workload. Maybe it takes off some of the workload that you have been struggling with. This can also be a time when you kick off a new chapter health-wise. So new healthy habits or a new approach to your health, especially something that involves taking better care of your emotional health, mental health, and maybe also immune system, I want to say. You could be collaborating with someone quite successfully, so if you do need help from like a health practitioner of any kind, I would not hesitate to reach out because they are probably going to be very helpful in your long-term journey to improve your health. Libras, remember that you've got Saturn transiting your house of health until 2026, beginning of 2026. So health is, or taking very serious care of your health is a little bit of a must, if you ask me, until the beginning of 2026. 11th of March until the 5th of April. Actually, this is a good time. This is a really nice time. This is something to really be excited about. Libras, Venus transits your 6th house in Pisces. This is a very enjoyable, pleasant, I dare say even comforting, if I can use this word in this context, time when it comes to the work that you're doing, but also when it comes to what you're doing for the improvement of your health. Work-wise, you seem to be very creative. You seem to be collaborating really well with people. I want to say that people that you're working with are on your side. They're appreciative of you. They value you. You feel valued. You feel liked. You feel popular. You feel like you're in the right place work-wise. You might also be feeling particularly creative in the workspace, so do take advantage of this. Health-wise, you might actually enjoy working on your health and kind of like doing things together with someone else, which is where I've mentioned employ someone else. Get a coach, get an advisor health-wise. You might really enjoy working together with someone else in such a way that it is beneficial for your health. If you have been suffering of anything health-wise, I'm not saying that is the case, but in case you've been dealing with anything health-wise, Venus transiting your 6th house is a very soothing and healing energy. I do want to put it out there. It can be very kind of like comforting, calming. It can bring a sense of relief health-wise. However, I do want to say that Mars is also entering your 6th house from the 22nd of March until the 30th of April. Mars transiting the 6th house is a little bit prone to potential kind of like inflammation health-wise. It might make you a little bit prone to maybe viruses or let's say entities that might attack your immune system, or maybe even your feet, or something that is connected with your lymphatic system. So Mars is kind of like taking a stab at something. How would I take advantage of Mars transiting your 6th house from the 22nd of March until the 30th of April? I would take action when it comes to my health. If I were in your shoes, Libras, I would do what needs to get done. You might actually feel very motivated to fight, to like push to improve your health. There is, however, a possibility that whoever it is that you're working with on the health front might come across as particularly pushy or domineering or demanding. So your coach, for example, might come across as very demanding. They might kind of like try to like give you that sort of nudge that motivates you, and it could actually get you a little bit angry at times. But if it motivates you, then maybe it's not such a bad thing. Mars can also do things too quickly. It can be a little bit too impulsive, a little bit too rash, too much at once. I want to say that you could become a little bit maybe impatient with how long it takes to see results on the health front, especially if you've started something new, which you might have this month. How do I feel about this? I mean, I have mixed feelings about impatience. On the one hand, impatience can be a strong kind of like driver, a strong motivating force. It's like, okay, come on, let's do this. Why are we wasting our time? But on the other hand, impatience can also negatively impact our motivation. If we aren't seeing results soon or quick, then our motivation might dissipate. Careful, because Mars in Pisces might suffer from dissolution of motivation if things aren't moving quickly enough. Sometimes things take as much as they take. I would just make peace with that, my dear Libras. Speaking of Mars transiting your 6th house, since we are on that topic, from the 22nd of March until the 30th of April, when possible, I would recommend, whatever it is that you're working on in a professional environment, I would recommend if if that is available to you, to say yes to a leadership position, to kind of like to be the leader, maybe the initiator, the one that shows the direction forward. If you cannot find yourselves in a leadership position at work in terms of like coordinating projects or taking the lead, I would maybe recommend not being impatient with your coworkers, because that can lead to conflicts. I would recommend not kind of like pushing people's buttons at work, just because you feel they're moving at a slower pace than you would move at, because that can negatively impact your relationship with them, and it might also negatively impact what you actually need to deliver. So I don't believe anyone is benefiting from this. So just putting it out there. Now, going a little bit back in time, because we jumped straight to Mars in Pisces, 19th of March, Mercury conjuncts the North Node in your house of relationships in Aries, and the Sun goes into Aries on the 20th of March. So kind of like 19th, 20th of March, there is a sense of significant developments happening in your relationship sector and in your collaborations and partnerships sector. You might hear some piece of news. You might have maybe a fated encounter, something that can be significantly impactful in terms of the evolution of your long-term relationship sector. It can be a very kind of like significant encounter when it comes to maybe like a business collaboration, or like a future business collaboration. It could also feel like you have quite the aha moment, 19th, 20th of March, when you talk to someone. So you might have an important conversation, and you might realize, oh wow, I had this huge blind spot and I wasn't aware of it, or I wasn't kind of like taking it into account. Let's say. So you might have something very important to learn from a conversation with someone else. A very illuminating conversation. Now, 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn. I feel like you are committing to something for the long term in the work environment, but also potentially in the health kind of like sector of your life. You might commit to give up on something. Because Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces feels like, okay, I'm gonna sacrifice something that I like. Why? For the greater good of my health. So you might give up on something for the long term. Maybe something that brought you joy, but that isn't necessarily healthy, and you might feel like you've got the focus and the seriousness and the discipline required to make this happen at the time of this conjunction. And 25th of March, I gave you a little bit of a teaser, but now we're going into it, full-blown into it. 25th of March, active week before, week after, we do have an eclipse in Libra, activating your relationship axis, but also very, very strongly activating you, my dear Libras. I feel like this is a culminating point for a relationship where you might look at it and say, okay, do I want to keep showing up as the same person that I showed up in the past, or do I want to show up in this relationship differently? Or do I feel like this relationship is asking me to give up on who I was? Or do I feel like in order to move forward with a relationship, with a connection, do I feel like I have to kind of like make some concessions and release maybe an old approach to relationships? I have to kind of like say yes to what the other person wants me to do. If you want the relationship to continue, I dare say that you might need to give up on kind of like an old stance, an old position, an old approach to relationships in general. When I say relationships, I do want to clarify that I'm not just referring to romantic relationships. It could be a business partnership for that matter. It could be a work relationship. It is actually very likely to be a work relationship or something that involves your work. Why? Because Venus, which is the ruler of the eclipse, is in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So the spotlight can be very, very strongly placed on work relationships that are no longer going to work the same. You might decide to stop working with someone and to say goodbye to an old client so that you can move forward with your goals for the future professionally. You might also decide to stop working with someone who has been useful in the past, but no longer seems to be quite useful when it comes to the evolution of your health sector. So maybe you've worked with, I don't know, like an acupuncturist for a long time, or like a massage therapist, and now you're thinking, you know what, I need something else. This is no longer going to help me accomplish my long-term health-related goals. If you are feeling physically a little bit low, which you might, because the eclipse is happening with the south node in your first house. So if you're feeling a little bit drained of energy, ask yourselves, Libras, at this point in time, who do you need to bring on your side? Who do you need to start collaborating with? Who do you need to ask for support maybe, so that you can feel revitalized once again? And 20th of March, Venus sextiles Uranus, a really pleasant surprise from someone at work. Maybe someone kind of like brings you a gift, or someone takes away like a very frustrating piece of work and does it for you. You are also likely to see some really positive and quite soon some really good results if you've been making some changes to your health and to your habits in particular. And this could kind of like catch you unprepared, like take you by surprise. Maybe you thought it would take much longer to see the results, and here you are, you're seeing results, and you are very happy, Libras. And that is March for you. Now, Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. What does March have in store for you, my dear Scorpios? Well. I have to say, you are one of the few people. Don't tell this to the other signs, Scorpios, but you are one of the few people who actually seems to have a lot of fun this month. Like, quite a lot of fun. There is going to be some drama. I have to tell you, it is not a drama-free month. We are going into eclipse season, of course. The drama seems to come more towards the end of the month, at the time of the eclipse. But it's also going to be quite fun. Why? Because there's a lot of activity in your 5th house, Scorpios. I mean, it pretty much sounds like life, right? Fun with a bit of drama, with a dash of the unexpected, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let me start from the very beginning. 1st of March, the Sun sextiles Jupiter, Scorpios, in your 7th house of relationships. I feel like a romantic partner is kind of like making you feel really warm inside. You're really confident about how a relationship is growing and developing. Someone is making you feel really loved and appreciated. I do see a high chance of this possibly being a romantic partner. It's also possible that a work partner or a professional partner could make you feel really appreciated, especially for your creative talents and for your creative vision, let's say, Scorpios. And you might also be in agreement on the 1st of March, maybe also day before and the day after, with a partner on a matter connected with children. And this really seems to bring a sense of relief in your life, Scorpios. Now, I told you there's going to be some drama. 3rd of March, also active day before, day after, Venus squares Uranus. Some sort of like sudden, unexpected development in your relationship with a significant other. I feel like something's happening in the life of a partner. Maybe something that disrupts your plans, something that disrupts what you were working on at home in your family life. There could be like a sudden, I don't know, like crisis, for example. Maybe all of a sudden your partner needs to like wake up in the middle of the night and go tend to like some sort of like work-related crisis, let's say. Or in the middle of the night, a parent, so your in-law basically, your in-laws maybe, a parent of a partner might need your partner quite suddenly and unexpectedly, and I don't necessarily believe you are very pleased with this. On the absolute contrary. 3rd of March, day before, day after, can bring a little bit of like tension and friction in your relationship with parents also, but also some tension and friction with a significant other on matters connected with home and family life. I wanna say it feels like both people involved in the clash, both you and the other person are quite stubborn and maybe really don't want to meet the other person halfway. I dare say that both people involved are quite reluctant to compromise. 9th of March is probably my least favorite day of the month. 9th of March, also day before, day after, this aspect is going to be active. Mars squares Uranus in your house of relationships. So, first things first, careful when it comes to potential accidents, incidents, disruptive events of a physical nature at home. Mars-Uranus can cause accidents and incidents connected with heat, electricity, technology. So I'm thinking of gadgets. I'm also thinking of anything sharp. So I would tread very carefully, and if you feel like something is off, if you feel like, I don't know, there's like a fuse that isn't working properly, I would stay away from it. I would not touch it. I would call in a specialist to fix it, because you don't want to be anywhere near it. Essentially what could cause the incident or the accident is you kind of like trying to do something yourselves, Scorpios, that actually needs the input of a specialist. The other thing that can happen 9th of March, there could be some sort of like incident in the life of a parent, something that disrupts your schedule, something that disrupts your plan and your kind of like daily normal life, and you might need to attend to it really, really, really quickly, really suddenly, really kind of like, yeah, basically out of nowhere. You could get a phone call and you have to like go real quick and like help a parent. Please be careful on the road. That is just one massive recommendation, because you don't want things to escalate further just because you are in a rush. So accidents can happen, especially because of speed or rushing into something or trying to do something yourselves on the 9th of March. Another possibility on the 9th of March, also day before, day after, a sudden unexpected conflict or fight with a partner. I mean, it could be over a home-related thing, but it could also be over a work thing, for example. So all of a sudden you might feel really like annoyed and frustrated because, I don't know, let's say your partner works too much and you have to take care of everything at home, and all of a sudden you kind of like blow up. So there is a strong kind of like possibility of things blowing up, even metaphorically speaking, around the 9th of March. 10th of March, a really nice new moon. After all the drama, I'm sorry, I told you there's gonna be some drama. Probably, as I said, the 9th of March seems to me like the most kind of like volatile time. Now, 10th of March, also active 3 days before, 3 days after. There's a new moon in your 5th house, which I really like. Why? Because Jupiter, the ruler of the new moon, is nicely aspecting Saturn. New beginning. For some people, for some Scorpios, this can be a new beginning involving children and pregnancy, so it could bring in a new child, possibly. The new moon in and of itself is not enough. It's not a sufficient indicator of things happening in terms of like pregnancy, but in astrology we say that we have to have at least kind of like 3 testimonies, 3 indicators that something is very likely to happen. So if you know astrology, if you follow your chart, if you kind of like see in your forecast the possibility of like children using other forecasting techniques, other transits, then this new moon can actually bring in pregnancy. It can also be a new beginning concerning your children in general. Maybe they are deciding to, I don't know, start playing a new game, a new sport, start getting involved in like a new physical activity, or they might get involved in some sort of a new creative activity. So they might discover a new passion and hobby, and you might be very supportive of them in pursuing this passion and hobby. And it is actually likely to improve I want to say their focus and their concentration, and also their ability to interact with others. So for example, if you are thinking, you know what, I've got a kid and my kid seems to really enjoy dancing, so I'm just going to take them to dancing classes. That would be a really good idea, Scorpios, around this time. So do create space for your child to express themselves around the time of this new moon, and also maybe offer them the possibility to kick off something fresh, something new, that allows them to be creative, to kind of like tap into their imagination in a novel way. This new moon, for those of you who are open, remember, astrology does not take away our free will. Nothing takes away our free will. Sure, there are certain things that we cannot change, such as the family that we were born into, but When life presents us with something, we always have a choice, and no one's going to take away that choice. Even in times when we feel like we don't have a choice, if we think long and hard about it, we do, but that doesn't mean that we consider all choices. Most of the times, we're kind of like caught up in our narrow bubble and we don't consider choices. So for those of you who are open to this, this new moon can bring in a new romantic connection. So a new relationship on the romantic front. However, for those of you who are in a relationship already, romantically speaking, it can be a fresh start for you and your partner, a fresh start where you decide to make a commitment to show your love and affection and to bring more romance into your life. For example, you might set you might institute a rule to have let's say date night once a month, regardless of what happens with the kids, with like work and so on. It does feel like a very supportive new moon, a new moon that is probably going to strengthen the romantic bond between you and someone else. And the new moon is also sextiling Uranus. Your partner could also surprise you with some of their approaches, with some of their ideas. I like it. Venus, 11th of March, this is what I'm the most excited about. Venus on the 11th of March enters Pisces in your 5th house until the 5th of April. Oh my gosh, this is prime time for you Scorpios to have fun. Go out, have fun, enjoy life, party, create, celebrate. Say yes to opportunities to be entertained. But especially in conjunction or in collaboration with a significant other, such as a romantic partner, because activities that are fun and enjoyable that you do together with someone else are probably going to be a tremendous source of joy. Venus transiting your 5th house is also a really good time, as I said, to have fun, to say yes to parties, to say yes to enjoyable activities. It's also a very inspiring and a very fruitful time from a creative perspective, my dear Scorpios. So if you are involved in anything creative, if you're an artist, if you create at work, if you have like a creative kind of like passion or hobby, if you play an instrument, if you sing, if you compose, if you kind of like dream up, I don't know, like virtual worlds for like video games, a fabulous time. Fabulous time, Scorpios, 11th of March until the 5th of April for all of these activities. And I'm going to add to that a fabulous time for dating, dating with a view to get super serious with someone if you're not already super serious with someone relationship-wise. And for those of you who have kids, the relationship with your children is probably going to go really well throughout this period. 11th of March until the 5th of April. 19th of March, and maybe also 20th of March. 20th of March, Aries season starts with the sun moving into Aries. 19th, 20th of March, it feels like the conversation that you're having with someone in a work environment or in a health environment. You could be at the doctor's, you could be at the gym. This really seems to kind of like bring in some very positive, constructive ideas in terms of how to approach your health or work moving forward. You could also have a very important meeting, a meeting that could be impactful in the long term when it comes to your health or work around this time. From the 20th of March, I mean, for the next month, you do seem to be quite invested in your work, Scorpios. You also seem to shine in a work environment. So you seem to have the ability to kind of like to stand out, which I suppose is always quite useful. Especially when it comes to kind of like making a name for ourselves, when it comes to like drawing the attention or like being noticed for the right reasons. If you need to have some sort of like a talk or to like present something or persuade someone, I like both the 19th and the 20th of March in a work environment. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn, you might commit to something for the long term on the creative front, so you might commit to a long-term creative project, but you might also make a commitment to a child, if you have children, to maybe help them with something or invest into something that they're very passionate about. 21st of March can also be a really good day to go out on a date. It could be someone new, with someone old, but to go out on a date and to be very kind of like open about your views when it comes to long-term commitment. So about maybe wanting to commit. A very kind of like solid romantic commitment seems to be taking place on the 21st of March. It's also a really good day to work hard on something that involves your tastes, your aesthetic, and your creative abilities. 22nd of March, Mars enters Pisces in your 5th house until the end of April. You seem to be putting a lot of energy and effort into having fun, celebrating life, into your passions and hobbies, into sports and games. But Mars can be a little bit rash. It can be a little bit impulsive. So careful not to overdo it. Careful not to hurt yourselves in the process. Careful not to, just kind of like go on a bender of some sorts, my dear Scorpios. Full moon lunar eclipse, 25th of March. It's going to be active week before, week after. Let's face it. We might feel the eclipse for like a good kind of like half of the month. This is activating your axis of work and service, as well as health. It is an eclipse with the South Node. It's happening with the South Node. So what am I saying here? You might be releasing, you might be letting go of an old maybe fear or of an old element of your life that used to contribute to your self-sabotage, that used to contribute to your self-undoing. I believe you might be releasing like an old maybe relationship that was negatively affecting your health potentially. You could also be releasing the collaboration with an old client or again, like an existing work collaboration. You seem to be quite happy about this because Venus, you seem to like it. Venus, the ruler of the eclipse, is nicely aspecting Jupiter. So there's like plenty to look forward to. If you're letting go of a client, if you're letting go of an old collaboration, it's probably because new collaborations that you see yourselves like building up over the long term are kind of like coming into play. You might also let go of an old fear, I want to say. Scorpios connected with love and romance and maybe even children, or maybe your ability to love and to receive love. I also believe that some of you could be getting out of a place of like, symbolically speaking, introspection and contemplation. It's no longer time for introspection and contemplation, Scorpios. It's no longer time for retreat. It is the time to get things done. And last but not least, Venus sextiles Uranus in your house of relationships on the 20th of March. Pleasant romantic surprise, some sort of like unexpected romantic encounter, a very kind of like creative day. You seem to be inspired by someone who is a little bit, I don't know, like shocking and conventional, outrageous, and you might use this sort of like inspiration in your creative endeavors, Scorpios. And really a good day of fun, especially because you seem to feel very kind of like unexpectedly so, connected with someone who you did not think you would be so connected with. And let's face it, as humans, we like the thrill of novelty. We like the excitement of novelty. Who doesn't love a good, pleasant surprise? And that is exactly what the 28th of March is bringing. My dear Sagittarius, Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings, what does March look like for you? Well, it's actually looking pretty good. I have to say, Sagittarians, let me start from the very beginning. By the way, there's going to be a lot of focus this month on your house of home, family life, and living situation, Sagittarians. There's also quite a bit of focus on your work and your health. And of course, we're going to have an eclipse a little bit later in the month, towards the end of the month, on the 25th of March, activating your 11th house, 5th house axis. So the axis of friends, communities, organizations, goals, plans for the future, as well as children, creative self-expression, passion, hobbies, and entertainment. So the month actually kicks off with a really nice aspect on the 1st of March. The sun is sextiling Jupiter in your house of day-to-day work. So whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you are putting effort towards, if there's anything that you need to fix, that you need to repair, especially around the house, Sagittarians, it looks like it is working really well. This is also a fabulous day, maybe to fix something around the house, or to work from home, or to collaborate with a family member on something practical, because you're probably going to get the result that you are aiming for. On the 3rd of March, and also, my apologies, I'm recovering after a cold and my voice might be a little bit off sometimes, so please forgive me. On the 3rd of March, but also the day before and the day after, you're probably going to be feeling quite strongly the energy of Venus squaring Uranus in your house of day-to-day work. There could be a little bit of a disruption in terms of your relationship with a colleague, a coworker, maybe even a client. Someone might cancel at the last minute, a meeting, for example, or you might need to reschedule, or all of a sudden they have this sort of like out of the blue, I don't know, request for you, and it kind of like interferes with your diary, with your schedule. There's also a possibility that you might need to maybe change plans connected with short distance traveling, and maybe meeting someone. You might need to change these plans all of a sudden because maybe work calls or you have to fix something at work. I wanna say. There does seem to be a little bit of a disruption in communication at work. There could also be a little bit of a disruption on the road. So if you are traveling, for instance, I mean, there is a chance that you might be late to a meeting. So if you can leave early, that would be fantastic. Or do prepare, I don't know, for a potential like strike if you're taking the train, for instance. So I would kind of like keep in mind that some plans might need to change as a result of things happening on the road. 8th of March, Mercury conjuncts Neptune, and this is a fantastic day to spend at home. I'm gonna say daydreaming, meditating, sleeping also. It is not necessarily, however, a day in which you have fantastic mental clarity, especially when it comes to numbers, facts, concrete data, concrete matters. On the absolute contrary, there could actually be a little bit of confusion when it comes to data, when it comes to facts, when it comes to numbers. I would be careful around making decisions on the 8th of March and maybe also the day before and the day after, because you might not have all your facts right, I wanna say. There could also be on the 8th of March a little bit of confusion in your communication with a family member. Maybe you misunderstood them, maybe they misunderstood you, so it might be worth double checking just to make sure that you are on the same page. 9th of March and also the day before and the day after. I mean, this is probably one of my least favorite aspects of the month, Sagittarians. Mars is squaring Uranus. Mars-Uranus aspects can, how should we say, favor accidents, incidents. Mars can be quite destructive, and with Uranus, things can happen quite suddenly. So why don't I like this day? Please, this is not a day, 9th of March, and also the day before and the day after. This is not a day to rush on the road. This is not a day to speed. There can be incidents on the road. I would advise that you be very cautious, that you're kind of like, if you're driving, to drive in a prudent manner. Maybe you're not making any mistakes on the road, but there could be other people who are making mistakes on the road on this day. So I would just kind of like be extra cautious. There is a possibility that you might need to fix something that falls apart, that breaks connected with your car, especially if you're driving, or something could kind of like break and fall apart in relation to your bike. So if you are riding a bike, then the bike could suffer. Your preferred mode of transportation around the 9th of March could suffer in general, which is why I would have a backup plan. This can also be a day of sudden, unexpected quarrels, fights, and conflicts at work. You might also fight with, if you've got children, you might fight with a child, with one of your children. There could be tense conversations with a child or with a sibling. It might feel like your anger kind of like bursts all of a sudden, or the anger of a child or of a sibling or of a work colleague. This is not a very smooth day in terms of getting along well with other people, so I would advise kind of like maybe giving each other a little bit of space before jumping at each other's throats and being like, quite a belligerent day. And also, if you are working out, if you are going to the gym, I would not overdo it on the 9th of March and also the day before and the day after, because there is a little bit of a proneness towards accidents for everyone, not just for you Sagittarians, but for everyone. 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a new moon in your house of home, family life, and living situation, a new moon in Pisces. A fresh start, new beginning. Some people might move into a new home. Some people might welcome a new family member. It might just feel for some people that there's this feeling of a fresh chapter, of a new start when it comes to their personal, private life. The new one is in a harmonious aspect to Uranus, so I feel like you might start working on something from home, maybe start a job from home, or maybe start renovating the home, maybe start making some changes around the house. There could also be this feeling maybe of being able to have a different type of relationship with family members, a relationship that is much more functional, a relationship that works better for everyone else. I mean, for everyone involved, not for everyone else other than you. It does feel like it could be a new beginning in which you and family members kind of like let go of the past and release maybe old wounds, old sources of suffering, old hurt, or old sources of hurt. And it feels like you have the ability to work, to collaborate better as a team. If a family can be called a team, I mean, obviously it is a team. It does feel like a fresh start for the team, if that makes sense. This new moon could also bring a new beginning in terms of emotional connection with family members. Maybe you feel like finally you're able to like open up to family members about certain things. You can finally talk to them about certain things. Maybe they have the feeling that they can open up to you if they felt misunderstood by you Sagittarians. So I'm liking this new beginning on an emotional level in your personal life, especially in connection with family members. But as I said, at the same time, it can also be a fresh start in a more concrete way, in a more tangible way. Maybe you're starting to look for homes. Maybe you're moving into a new house. It does feel like you can achieve really concrete things if you set your mind to it and if you set your intention to it. When it comes to personal life, private life, home life, and living situation at the time of this new moon. So it is a beautiful new moon. 11th of March until the 5th of April. This is one of my favorite transits this year, Sagittarians. Venus transits Pisces in your 4th house of home and family life. This is a fabulous time. For what? You're like, okay, it's a fabulous time, but what do we do with it, Rex? It is a fantastic time to beautify the home. It is a fantastic time to work on improving relationships with family members. It is a fantastic time to decorate the home, to buy maybe aesthetically pleasing things. It is a fantastic time to host people in your home. So to become the host, to become yeah, I think the host is the word that I'm looking for. Maybe also to host friends in your home. Maybe also to make plans for the future connected with your home, because Venus also rules your 11th house of long-term goals for the future, Sagittarius. Saturn is still in your house of home and living situation, Sagittarians, until 2026. But Venus comes in and makes things easier, smoother, more enjoyable, more pleasant. It gives you help. It gives you help from others to accomplish your goals. It gives you help from others. With pretty much anything that you need help with when it comes to home life, family life, and living situation. And even the effort that you need to put into your home life and family life is likely to feel easier, I dare say. So this is probably one of my absolute favorite transits in general this year, and for you in particular this month until the 5th of April, Sagittarius. 20th of March, Aries season starts. So for you, that's going to put the spotlight, Sagittarius risings, on your 5th house of fun, entertainment, enjoyment, passions, hobbies, and children. The sun also rules your 9th house, so you might be making for the next month plans to travel with children, plans to travel for fun. And you might also feel like 9th house matters, such as traveling, academic matters, spiritual matters, are a lot more enjoyable, Sagittarians. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn in your house of home and family life and living situation. I feel like you're going to have a very serious conversation with someone at home. It could be with a parent, it could be with a sibling. It feels like you're making a commitment to each other. It is also a really good time to put effort into, so the 21st of March is a good day to put effort into activities that maybe improve and beautify the home, make it a more kind of like enjoyable place to live in. Also very good day to commit to working on a relationship with a family member. This can also be a day in which you spend quite a bit of money for the home, but it does seem to be towards something that you are very invested in, something that is aligned maybe with your values and value system. Let's see what else. 22nd of March, Mars enters Pisces in your 4th house of home, family, life, and living situation until the end of April. So a lot of energy directed towards home matters, family matters, real estate matters. You might be kind of like in a rush to get things done, to get things off the ground. Mars is also the ruler of your house of fun and entertainment, so you might feel very motivated to have fun together with family members or to plan fun activities and maybe also to take action together with family members in the direction of maybe some of the goals that you've got, some of the wants, some of the desires that you've got connected with children, I wanna say. A lot of activity around the house, a lot that needs to get done around the house, Sagittarius. Careful, however, when Mars transits the 4th house, so from the 22nd of March until the 30th of April, there is a possibility that some things might break around the house. You might need to replace them. I would also not be in a rush around the house because you might bump into things and they might fall apart. I don't know, out of kind of like an instinct of trying to get too much done all at the same time, all at once. You're in a rush. You're like, zooming from one place to the other, from one room to the other, and you bump into something and it breaks and it falls apart. So I would be careful with that. 25th of March, probably one of the most important events of the month. Also active week before, week after, we've got a full moon lunar eclipse, a culminating point, activating your 11th house, 5th house axis. My dear Sagittarians, look back at what was going on in the following sectors for you last year in October, right? October of 2023. What was going on in your friend circle, so in your circle of friends, but also in the communities that you're a part of. What were the goals that you were setting for yourself for the future at the time, Sagittarius? What was your vision for the future at the time? Were you involved in any group type of activities last year around the 14th of October? Did you make any new friends? Did you initiate any sort of like new projects together with a group of people, with a community of people? Because this full moon lunar eclipse is likely to bring things to a culminating point, I want to say. You may feel also like the work that you have done together with a group of people is now over. So it can be a chapter of kind of like bringing things to completion and then letting go and saying, okay, this is it. We are closing the doors on this project. That is a very strong possibility. This could be a time when you're also maybe saying goodbye to a friend or to a community of people that is connected in some shape or form with your home, with your past, with your family life. If you are saying goodbye, it does seem to be on very good terms. Maybe a friend is, I don't know, relocating to a different country. Maybe you are no longer going to be collaborating with a community of people from home because you're moving to a different country. You're saying goodbye to your friends because you're going to be someplace else, or because there's other things that you are working on in your home life and family life, and maybe you're going to have less time to prioritize the connections with this community. But in any case, it feels like there is some sort of like big goal coming to completion and to fruition, whilst also kind of like saying goodbye, and now you're ready to move on to something else, to invest in something else, to focus on something else, maybe to focus on home life and family life a little bit more. It feels like you are called to put effort and to put energy in your private life. You might also realize that you no longer resonate with a group of people around this time, Sagittarians, and that is also absolutely okay. It does feel like there is an energy of releasing someone from your lives, Sagittarians, and to me it feels like a community. I would say. I also want to flag that the South Node is going to reach the degree of the eclipse last week of August until the first week of November. So this eclipse could actually be the first step of you letting go of a community, of you letting go of a group of people, of you letting go of a friendship. This is the first step of you moving in that new direction, but things might come to a full completion end of August until the beginning of November, Sagittarians. And the month ends really nicely with Venus sextiling Uranus, maybe a very pleasant, surprising encounter on a day-to-day basis. Maybe you bump into someone when you're, I don't know, like running errands. It feels like a really nice day to also collaborate on something with a family member. You also seem to be inspired by a family member. You seem to be kind of like getting ideas from them, ideas that help you in your work in some shape or form. So I'm liking the way that the month ends. This aspect that I'm telling you about is happening on the 20th of March, but you might also feel it in the day before and the day after. My dear Capricorns, Capricorn suns and Capricorn risings, what is going on in March? What does March have in store for you? Well, we've got a lot of focus on third house topics, third house matters. So short distance traveling in general, cars, your preferred mode of transportation, your commute, but also learning new things, utilizing your mind, utilizing your kind of like mental abilities in practical, concrete ways. The third house is also the house of neighbors and the house of siblings. So quite a bit of focus on that. And a lot of communications, a lot of, I don't know, like having to make phone calls, having to like reach out to people, having to like reconnect with people, having to maybe send them messages, emails, having to deal with, I don't know, like the post office and things like that. There's also going to be quite a bit of focus on your home life and family life a little bit later when the sun enters Aries on the 20th of March. As I'm referring especially to Capricorn risings here. Let us start from the very beginning. The month starts on the 1st of March with the sun sextiling Jupiter. This is actually a really nice day to write something, to work on something creative, but also a really nice day to have a heart-to-heart conversation with someone, to maybe also talk about the things and write about the things and share whatever it is that you are passionate about. Capricorns, it does feel like you're very mentally inspired. So if you need to work on a presentation, for instance, this could be a really good day to do that. If you need to have an interview, if you need to maybe speak creatively, present something in a creative manner, this is the day for that. 3rd of March, also active the day before and the day after, Venus squares Uranus. A little bit of disruption, I want to say, in your romantic life, but maybe also in your relationship with children. For those of you who have kids, there could be a little bit of maybe rebelliousness that you're sensing from your child. There could also be something kind of like sudden and unexpected happening with your child that requires you to pay something, maybe to pay a fee, maybe to pay for something for them. Maybe all of a sudden they're telling you, oh, I've signed up for this, I don't know, like class trip. And you're like, oh no, but like this is gonna cost us an arm and a leg. And your child says, I don't care. I want this. So potentially a sudden kind of like expense, an unexpected expense connected with children. There could be a sense of disruption also in your romantic life, especially for those of you who are at the beginning of a relationship. It does feel like either you or a romantic partner or both of you maybe need a little bit of space, because things are a little bit unpredictable in terms of romance around this time. 8th of March can be a day of confusion mentally. You don't seem to have all the facts. If you are presenting something to someone, I would double, triple, quadruple check that you are working with the right numbers. This is a very good day, however, to speak about things that tap into your imagination, to write about things that maybe allow you to tap into your imagination. A very good day to talk about and to read about and to communicate about spiritual matters as well. Maybe also to communicate about matters of an intangible nature, such as emotions, for instance, my lovely Capricorns. But when it comes to hard, concrete facts, things are a little bit confusing on this day. 9th of March, but also this energy is going to be active the day before and the day after. Mars squares Uranus, a sudden conflict with a child or with a romantic partner or with both. A sudden unexpected conflict, potentially Capricorns, also with a family member or with a friend. You don't seem to be on the same page. You don't seem to want the same things. You don't seem to have the same vision for the future or the same values. And there seems to be an unexpected clash as a result. This is not a day to try to reach an agreement with anyone, if you ask me, but especially with family members, friends, or children, because it feels like, how should we call it? Everyone wants to stand up for what they believe in. Everyone is quite stubborn. Everyone wants freedom and independence and to do things their own way, and they're likely to fight for that sort of like freedom and autonomy and independence. 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after. There's a new one in your 3rd house, a new beginning in terms of learning studies, maybe starting to like master a new skill, potentially Capricorns. You might start learning something, but also writing something, writing a thesis for example. Some of you could start taking driving classes, a fresh start also maybe in terms of driving. Maybe you are looking to purchase a new car, to invest in a new car. I would recommend, if you're doing that, to stay away from the 8th of March. You can maybe buy a car after the 10th, maybe even the 11th, if you ask me, after the 11th onwards, when Venus goes into your 3rd house. But I would stay away as much as possible from the 8th of March. The 10th of March could also usher in a new beginning in terms of you communicating about your feelings, you communicating about what hurts you, you communicating about your emotions, your vulnerabilities, potentially you also communicating more about what makes you happy and what it is that you need in order to be happy, in order to feel excited to be alive. Jupiter, the ruler of the new moon, is in a nice aspect to Saturn. So I like this because it feels like the cosmos is on your side if you're putting effort to learn something, to master something, to study something, or to even like talk more about something that you are passionate about. You could also start learning more about children, maybe about children in general if you're looking to have a child, maybe about how you can communicate better with children. And I want to say that the effort is going to be worth it and it's probably going to pay off in time. But remember that this is the new moon, so it is a new beginning. It is just the seed moment, my lovely Capricorns. 11th of March until the 5th of April, Venus transits your 3rd house. Oh my God, you are going to super enjoy talking to people, communicating, writing, speaking, learning, reading, driving, maybe connecting with others on a day-to-day basis. It looks like your relationships also with siblings and neighbors, as well as colleagues, can improve significantly. Also with children, because Venus rules your 5th house of children. Also with figures of authority. So if you want to communicate with a figure of authority, be it a boss, be it someone, I don't know, who you admire, who you look up to, take advantage of Venus transiting Pisces from the 11th of March until the 5th of April. If you have been struggling with any sort of like matters connected with cars, driving, studying, learning, writing, communications, Venus comes in and helps you enjoy whatever it is that you've been struggling with. I mean, of course, you're not going to enjoy whatever is kind of like in the past, but it feels like anything that you've had a hard time with becomes significantly easier on these fronts. 19th of March, Mercury conjuncts the North Node. A significant encounter, a significant conversation, something that feels quite fated in terms of conversations with a parent, with a family member, or maybe you have an aha moment when you discover something connected with your home, with your house, with your living situation, something that you need to work on, something that you need to put more energy towards. I want to say that a family member could also help you with something work-related around this time. If you ask me, Capricorns, if you've been waiting on any sort of like news connected with your home life, family life, living situation, it might make its way to you around the 19th of March. 20th of March for the next month, Aries season starts, and that puts the spotlight on your home life and family life. Capricorns, the sun is also the ruler of your 8th house. So any sort of like hidden, buried topics that maybe you didn't necessarily want to focus on that much, they are coming to the forefront of your mind. They are becoming very visible at home, in your family life, in your private life, and you can't run away from them anymore. You just have to address them. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn in your 3rd house. This is a great date to sign a contract, to make a purchase, to commit to something for the long term in terms of studies, learning, writing, speaking, communicating. Also to commit to maybe learning to understand better something of a financial nature, maybe learning how to invest, for example, how to budget better. Very serious conversations on this day that are likely to go your way, that are likely to go quite well. But remember that you're also signing up for work in a sense. So there will be some sort of like effort that you have to put into whatever it is that you're agreeing upon on the 21st of March. 22nd of March until the 30th of April, Mars goes into your 3rd house. So a lot of action, a lot of like short distance kind of like trips, a lot of like motivation that seems to be geared towards learning, speaking, communicating, reaching out to people, sending emails, making phone calls, and so on. A lot of communications throughout this period connected with home life, family life, but also your property sector, as well as connected with your goals and plans for the future. So if you have certain kind of like plans for the future, 22nd of March until the end of April, you might feel very motivated and very driven to reach out to people, to send that email, to send that message, to like make that phone call. 25th of March, eclipses are back. Eclipse season is upon us once again. We've got a full moon lunar eclipse activating your 10th house, 4th house axis. What was going on in your career sector last year, Capricorns, around the middle of October? Because this full moon lunar eclipse is bringing things to a culminating point, I want to say, on the professional front. So this could be a point of receiving kind of like news. This could be a point of you accomplishing some sort of an outcome connected to your career. It feels like you could be getting some sort of an important position, an important role. It could feel like a culminating point in general in your career sector. You could be presenting something professionally to the outside world, and it could feel like a massive, massive, massive achievement. However, for a lot of Capricorns, this could also be the end of an era career-wise, especially for Capricorn risings. It could feel like the last stage, the final kind of like chapter of of your existing professional path. Some of you could be saying goodbye to an industry. Some of you could be saying goodbye to a company. If you are doing that, it is probably because you're very excited about where you're headed to next, because you want to learn something new, because you're invested into something new professionally. So if you are saying goodbye to an industry or to a company or even to a career path, I dare say it's because you are looking to dedicate yourself more to something that you are increasingly more passionate about. Something that maybe requires you to learn new things, requires you to maybe go back to school, metaphorically speaking. Some of you could also experience their boss or an authority figure, someone at the top of the company, someone at the top of their I don't know, like the institution that they're a part of. Some of you could be experiencing a departure at the very kind of like top of the career ladder. This full moon lunar eclipse also puts the spotlight on parents. So a parent, for example, could retire, or they could wrap up something very important in their life professionally. Because the eclipse is ruled by an exalted Venus in Pisces, so Venus loves being in Pisces, I feel like you are ready to communicate to the outside world, and you're feeling actually quite thrilled with what it is that you're leaving behind. And if there is any sort of departure, a boss leaving, a manager leaving, or even maybe a parent retiring, if you are experiencing this type of departure, Capricorns, I do believe it's something that you're doing or it's something that you're welcoming, let's use this word, with an open heart. You are quite excited about it, if you ask me. And it also feels like you're kind of like keen to like invest energy and resources into something else already. The South Node is going to reach the degree of the eclipse last week of August, first week of November. So you're probably going to see the full kind of like completion of this career chapter coming to a close, or of this professional chapter coming to a close. End of August, beginning of November. This could also be a culminating point in terms of status for you Capricorns. Some of you could be announcing around the time of this eclipse that you are getting engaged, for instance. It's also possible. And last but not least, 28th of March, Venus sextiles Uranus, a really good day to have fun. Also the day before and the day after, a really good day to catch up with maybe someone who is likely to lift up your spirits. It could be with a romantic partner, but it could also be with a friend. It could be with someone who you have a really kind of like easy time communicating with. There could be an unexpected kind of like encounter in a casual setup with someone who, as I said, you get along really well and you're having a good time. And there could also be some sort of a surprise of an impromptu thing coming up into your life, Capricorns, around this time. Maybe an impromptu invitation to a party, for example. My recommendation would be to say yes to it, because you are probably going to really, really, really like it. And that is March. My dear Aquarius, Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. What does March have in store for you? Well, Aquarians, there are 3 big astrological events that are happening in March. I mean, it depends who you ask, but in my opinion, in my view, these are probably the most important events of March. Venus entering Pisces, so we're going to have an exalted Venus from the 11th of March until the 5th of April in your second house of income, and that is good news. That actually means really good news for you financially, Aquarians. We're also going to have on the 10th of March, so before Venus goes into Pisces, a new moon in your second house of income, values, self-worth, and self-esteem. And towards the end of the month, 25th of March, a full moon lunar eclipse. Eclipse season is upon us once again. A full moon lunar eclipse activating your 9th house, 3rd house axis, the axis of traveling and learning in astrology. I have to say, Aquarians, I really like March. February has been pretty disruptive. Pretty disruptive, especially for those of you who have a lot of energy in Aquarius. People with stelliums in Aquarius, so with several planets in Aquarius, Aquarius suns, Aquarius risings. So I do believe you're going to be enjoying March a lot more. Let's start from the very beginning. 1st of March, the Sun sextiles Jupiter in your fourth house of home. It feels like you could be investing some time, energy, money, or resources in a home matter, a family-related matter. And guess what? It is working out really, really nicely, exactly in the way that you wanted it to work out. For example, you could be buying something for the house. You could be repairing something around the house. You could be investing some time, some energy into a personal matter. So not just connected with like property and real estate, but something connected with your home and family life. And it does feel like things are working out very nicely, very, very nicely. It's a day of collaboration. It's a day of things working quite smoothly. So I'm liking the 1st of March. 3rd of March, also active the day before and the day after, Venus squares Uranus. I mean, this is where I see something kind of like cracking a little bit, or some sort of a disruption at home. A relationship with a family member could be going through a rough patch. It might just feel like you're not on the same page. It might just feel like you have different kind of like values. You might have, oh, I apologize. You might have opposing worldviews. There's this feeling of almost like you wanting to break free from your roots, your past. You're rebelling maybe against something from the past, and as a result, the relationship with a parent or a family member in general is going through a little bit of a more difficult time. I wanna say. This could also be a day when you have unexpected guests at home. So someone all of a sudden decides to show up uninvited at your place, and you're like, what am I supposed to do now? You don't want to kick them out, but also you had other plans. Very, 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 very possibly. This could also be a day, 3rd of March, but active kind of like day before and day after, when you shock a family member with something that you're planning to do, something that you are invested in on a personal level, and I don't think they're taking it very lightly or casually. 8th of March, careful when it comes to money and finances, because you might be paying the wrong amount. Careful when it comes to someone stealing your wallet. Careful when it comes to thieves in general, thieves, scams, online scams. If you're paying for the bill at the restaurant, my recommendation would be to go through every single item to make sure that you have been charged properly, because there can be illusions, confusion, fogginess connected with payments and money in general. Also, if you are paying for something connected with your kids, I would once again, Aquarius, make sure that you're paying the right amount, not the wrong amount, just because there is this energy of not having enough clarity, let's say, when it comes to financial matters on this day. The 9th of March is my least favorite day of the month. There's this very tense energy in the sky. 9th of March, also active day before and day after. Mars squares Uranus. So something could break around the house. I would be very careful around the house with electricity, heat, hot tools, I was about to say. Tools, instruments that utilize heat, but also anything that utilizes technology. It could kind of like experience trouble. There could be issues. There is a possibility that something could explode, something like a gadget or something of a technological nature. It's possible, it's not mandatory, but Mars Uranus is quite conductive to accidents and to things kind of like blowing up quite suddenly. So if something needs to be repaired around the house, also if something that uses electricity is kind of like functioning not in the way that it's supposed to, stay away from it, my recommendation, Aquarians. Obviously, you've got free will, but I would recommend not trying to fix things yourselves, but rather bringing in a specialist. So careful around the house with heat, electricity, technology, and also careful when it comes to explosive arguments with family members, especially parents. I don't believe you're going to be on the same page. I don't believe you are seeing eye to eye. Conflicts that erupt out of the blue around this time could actually lead to some sort of a rupture in relationships, and I don't know if you want that. So cool down. I will just put it out there. New moon in Pisces on the 10th of March. It's going to be active 3 days before, 3 days after. New commitment, new chapter, new focus financially. Very, very likely. You might be welcoming in a new source of income. You might be receiving more money, but you might also have new financial commitments that you need to stick to. So this is a fantastic time to revisit your budget, to revisit expenses, and to also set goals and targets financially, and to also clean things up when it comes to expenses, and to say, okay, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this, to get rid of some expenses. This can also be a time when you set some sort of financial goals connected with home life, family life, and personal life, maybe also with real estate. For example, let's say you have decided to start saving money to purchase a home. The cosmos is on your side with this one. So it's a great time to commit to things long-term financially. It is a great time to be very pragmatic and realistic about your finances. It's a great time to also welcome in new sources of income, but remember that you've got some really concrete kind of like duties and financial responsibilities that you need to be aware of. And it also wouldn't hurt, for example, to kind of like really organize and structure your budget and your maybe bank accounts to make sure, for instance, that you've got, I don't know, like a pot of money for savings, a pot of money for like house repairs, and so on. This might also feel like a fresh start, Aquarians, when it comes to your sense of self-worth and self-esteem. I'd say it feels like you might start investing more into activities, into directing efforts towards something that makes you feel good about yourselves, Aquarians. Be it a commitment towards yourselves, be it a commitment towards also the people in your life. I feel like whatever it is that you're working towards around this time, Aquarius, it is probably going to contribute to an increase in terms of your sense of self-worth and self-esteem, but it does seem to be coming from a place of increased responsibilities in some shape or form. 11th of March until the 5th of April. This is probably one of my favorite transits this year. Yes, you heard that right. Venus enters Pisces. Venus is exalted in Pisces. Venus loves being in Pisces. So from the 11th of March until the first week of April, until the 5th of April, Venus rules your 4th house and your 9th house, Aquarius. What is this telling me? So first and foremost, with Venus transiting Pisces, you are likely to feel like you attract more money, like money comes to you a lot easier. If you are looking to negotiate for a pay rise, for example, the cosmos favors this throughout this period. If you're looking to increase your prices, increase the amount of money that you charge for your services, for example, I will say that this is also a fabulous time to do so, because people are willing to pay and people are likely to value and to appreciate what you bring to the table. You might also spend money on beautiful things, maybe beautiful things for the house, beautiful things for family members. You might spend money on gifts. You might also spend money throughout this period on traveling. Maybe you are kind of like buying plane tickets and things like that. Generally, with Venus transiting your second house, you are likely to feel a lot more valued and appreciated, my dear Aquarians. So just something for you to know. Whatever it is that you need help with on a financial front, from the 11th of March until the 5th of April, for example, if you need financial, advice, if you are looking to get in touch with a financial advisor, with an accountant or something like that, or someone like that, Venus is likely to draw towards you the right people. So the right type of help, the right type of advisor, counselor, consultant, and so on. 19th of March, Mercury conjuncts the North Node in your third house. Some sort of like important piece of news connected with siblings, connected with your car, connected with transportation, but also maybe connected with learning and studies. Aries season starts on the 20th of March and it activates your third house. So for the next month or so, Aquarians, you're probably going to have a lot of short distance trips to make, a lot of commuting, maybe also a lot of like phone calls to make, a lot of like comings and goings on a day-to-day basis, a lot of people to like talk to on a day-to-day basis, a lot of interactions with neighbors potentially. You might also feel like you have a lot to say throughout this period, and you might feel very motivated to do so, and you might also feel like your words carry extra weight. You might feel a lot more confident in what you've got to say. It may feel like people are actually really listening. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn. A day of commitment, of kind of like financial commitments, a good day to sign a contract that has significant kind of like financial clauses, a good day to make a payment, maybe to make a payment towards the home, to make a payment towards something that is important for you in the long term, to make a significant purchase connected with your physical body. So I don't know, maybe to invest in something connected with your health and your physical body. For example, a healthcare package, or I don't know, like a package of training sessions with a personal trainer. A good day for contracts. 21st of March. 22nd of March until the 30th of April, Mars enters your second house. You might be a little bit kind of like extra in a rush to spend money. Careful not to buy things impulsively because you might regret it. You might also have to like spend some money on cars and transportation throughout this period. You might also feel very driven and motivated to spend money on anything that's got to do with learning, writing, utilizing your logical, rational mind. I wanna say. I told you, eclipse season is back, Aquarians. 25th of March, active a week before, week after, a full moon lunar eclipse, activating the third house, ninth house axis. This eclipse brings with it a power outage. What does that mean? So you are completing, you're finalizing, you're wrapping up a chapter connected with your education, very possibly. You might also be releasing and letting go of an old chapter, educationally speaking. You might be wrapping up, I don't know, your thesis. You might be handing in your thesis at university. You might be finalizing your master's or something like that. You could be presenting your final thesis. This could also be a time when you are wrapping up a chapter that involves legal institutions. So if you were waiting for some sort of a decision from a court of law, you're probably going to get that decision around this time, and it feels like you're finally able to like let go and say goodbye to this chapter involving the law. If you are waiting for news connected with travel, visas, I don't know, green cards, residency, you're probably going to get the news around the time of this eclipse. And it's probably going to be good news because Venus, the ruler of the eclipse, is exalted in Pisces. So after spending a lot of time, energy, money, and effort to accomplish this goal, it feels like it's finally in your pocket. You could also be maybe paying for some sort of a trip or paying for education around this time, and maybe it's kind of like the last payment, the last, I don't know, like the final expense connected with an educational chapter. I want to say that for those of you who are in a relationship or who are married, this full moon lunar eclipse could also involve some sort of an ending, some sort of a closure connected with in-laws. For example, I don't know, maybe your mother-in-law is retiring or is moving to a different country, or they're wrapping up some sort of a chapter in their life. It does seem to be a reason to celebrate in some shape or form. I mean, it's an ending, but many times we want to bring certain things to an end so that we can move on with our lives. So it seems to be an ending for the better. It seems to be like a closing chapter for the better. Everyone benefits. And Venus is also sextiling Jupiter and Uranus. I want to say that whatever it is that you're wrapping up around this time, maybe you're wrapping up your education, maybe you are receiving, I don't know, your green card, for example. Now you can direct your efforts. So whatever it is that you're wrapping up is making room for you to direct your efforts, money, attention, and energy towards personal matters and matters that you want to kind of like build upon in your home life and personal life, Aquarians. And the month ends with a Venus sextiling Uranus on the 28th of March. I really like this. It does feel like this is a day for pleasant surprises at home, a pleasant surprise from a family member, a pleasant surprise maybe also connected with, I don't know, like a gift that you are either receiving from a family member or that you are making to a family member. It really feels like it's filling you up with like good energy, positive energy to see this person happy. And that is Aquarius. My dear Pisces, Pisces suns and Pisces risings, what does March 2024 have in store for you? I've actually got some really good news for you, my lovely Pisces. This month, Venus is going to enter Pisces on the 11th of March until the 5th of April. Venus is exalted in Pisces. You are absolutely going to love this this transit. It's one of my favorite transits of the year, I have to say. What is this going to help with? So, Venus transiting Pisces is going to help you with the following. It's going to make you feel really good about yourselves. It's going to make you feel really good, kind of like in your own skin. It is going to help alleviate any sort of like issues, suffering, challenges, problems that you've been having on a health front level. Venus is likely to contribute to you appreciating your body a lot more. So it's got both kind of like a symbolic auspicious influence, but also a tangible, concrete, practical, helpful influence. If you are looking to improve your appearance in any shape or form, to buy new clothes, to change your looks, to change your hair, to color your hair, do take advantage of Venus transiting Pisces, especially if you're a Pisces rising. So from the 11th of March until the 5th of April, you're likely to feel very appreciated, loved, admired, and charming throughout this whole period. It might just feel like people kind of like really like being around you, Pisces. It's a very kind of like feel good kind of time. Venus is also the ruler of your third house, so you might feel throughout this entire period like you've got a much easier time when it comes to communicating, talking, speaking, presenting things, sharing your thoughts, sharing your opinions. If you're looking to learn anything, it might feel like it's super, super easy for you to absorb the information. It might also feel very easy to talk about what's important to you and what is valuable and significant towards you. And I've also got another piece of good news, my lovely Pisces, especially Pisces risings. You are very You're gonna laugh. You're very gift prone. What do I mean by that? So from the 11th of March until the 5th of April, it might just feel like people just want to gift you things. Like you are kind of like you're attracting gifts from others. You're incredibly magnetic. So have a think about what it is that you want to attract. Just kind of like say the word, and you don't even have to say it to someone in particular. It's a very kind of like potent time for manifestation, to kind of like to receive things, right? And you might just be very surprised to see how the universe finds a way to gift you with exactly what it is that you wanted, Pisces. So I am loving, loving, loving this time for you. Now, let me start from the very, very beginning of the month, because I jumped right into Venus and Pisces. 1st of March, the Sun sextiles Jupiter. This is a very good day for a purchase, a sale, but also a very good day to present something in a work environment, to convince someone, to persuade someone of something that is important for you work-wise. You might also learn something very important about yourselves, Pisces, that makes you more confident, that makes you appreciate yourselves more. And you're having some really kind of like productive conversations on this day, but also conversations in which you feel heard, like you feel that your word matters, right? 3rd of March, also day before, day after. Disruption, very likely on the road. So you might not get to where you're trying to get to in time. You might have some issues with the car, the bike, with the train if you're traveling by train. Someone could cancel on you at the last minute. Someone might not show up at a meeting, for example. It could also feel like circumstances outside of your control are impacting the way that maybe a conversation with someone or an encounter with someone is going, and it almost feels like you don't know what you don't know. One of my very, very, very least favorite days, I mean, I've got two that are not my favorites, right? The 8th of March and the 9th of March. And the 10th, but to a lesser extent. What's happening here? So 8th, 9th of March, Mars is going to square Uranus in your 3rd house. This is an accident-prone aspect. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be involved, that you don't need to, obviously. It doesn't mean that you have to be involved in an accident, but I would just be very careful on the road. I wouldn't speed. I wouldn't be in a rush. I would slow down. I would be extra cautious. I would pay attention to everything that is happening around you on the road. I would also pay attention, for example, if you are in a train. I would pay attention to someone maybe trying to steal something from you, to pickpockets. There's also a possibility that a conflict could erupt on a train or in your kind of like, I don't know, preferred means of transportation. There is a tendency around the 8th and 9th of March to potentially experience road rage or to just get like very, very annoyed and very frustrated whilst traveling. I don't believe it's very smart, if you ask me, to get into a conflict around these days, because there are aspects that you are not aware of that could contribute to this whole minor conflict escalating. And if you don't need to be by yourselves on a train, especially, I don't know, like at night, for example, on the 8th or 9th of March, I would not be there. So I would just kind of like be careful when it comes to transportation around these days. I would also be careful when it comes to using sharp tools. 8th, 9th of March. Something could break when it comes to your car, and it might need to be fixed. I'm almost kind of like envisaging, I don't know, like a tire kind of like popping. Just take it easy. Be careful. And also there is a higher than ever possibility of conflicts with siblings and colleagues on the 8th, 9th of March. On the 8th of March, we've also got a Mercury conjunct Neptune. I feel like you might not necessarily be super clear in communication and in conversation around this day. So I do want to make you aware of that. You might also have the wrong data, the wrong facts, the wrong numbers. You might talk about something and it might just feel like others aren't really kind of like getting what you're trying to say, and as a result, that could also lead to misunderstandings. It could lead to conflicts further down the line. So if you do need to talk about something concrete, yeah, just kind of like double check the numbers. Just make sure that the other person has understood where you're coming from. 8th of March is a very good day to meditate, to utilize your mind when it comes to creative matters, when it comes to kind of like, I don't know, like building up a vision. So when it comes to imaginative matters that involve the mind and that involve maybe like speaking and communicating, but not when it comes to communicating about concrete issues, okay? 10th of March, active 3 days before, 3 days after, new one in Pisces. New beginning for you on a personal level, my lovely Pisces. It feels like you are maybe making a commitment to work on something that is important to you, Pisces, either in terms of life direction, maybe also in terms of health, potentially also in terms of your work, I will say. So it does feel like a fresh start. It does feel like a fresh start that involves a level of commitment. A level of commitment that maybe has something to do with you learning something, studying something, or communicating in a new way, in a novel way, or communicating with some new people, potentially. You might also start learning something new about your physical body and maybe starting to put effort towards improving your health and improving how you feel overall in your body. You're kind of like welcoming in new information, you're welcoming in new perspectives, you're learning new things about your body, and you're probably deciding, okay, I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to commit to kind of like implementing this information, implementing this knowledge in a practical way in my life. This could also be a fresh start on a personal level for some Pisces, involving cars, transportation. Maybe you're looking to buy a car, maybe you're starting to drive. It is a possibility. It is very, very much a possibility. It does feel like this fresh start is probably going to lead to you feeling better about yourselves, Pisces, feeling better in your own skin, and also feeling better about maybe overcoming some personal fears, I would say. I've mentioned Venus entering Pisces on the 11th of March until the 5th of April. 19th of March, some sort of news, Mercury conjunction North Node in your second house. News, opportunities, information connected with your finances, connected with your income, something that maybe points out to you how you can make more money and maybe how you can better utilize your talents and your skills and your personal resources, I'd say, my dear Pisces. Aries season starts on the 20th of March, so the spotlight is going to be very much placed on money, finances, self-worth, and your value system for the next month or so. It also looks like you're probably going to be motivated to spend money on health-related matters, but also to invest in yourselves, Pisces, so that you can benefit from that in a work environment. 21st of March, Venus conjunct Saturn. Okay, this feels like a time for commitment. Commitment on a personal level to work on some sort of like goals, Pisces, goals, long-term goals, goals for the future, involving your health, your physical body, but maybe also to commit to something for the long term, involving learning, but maybe also working with a community of people, working with a group of people. So this could be a time when you join a community of people that is learning the same things that you're learning. This could be a time when you commit to maybe investing more in activities, objects, projects that you know are going to help you feel better in your own skin, that are going to help you feel more confident about yourselves. You could also be making a commitment to a friend around this time, or to an organization, I'd say. If you are doing that, and it is quite a nice aspect to do that, a supportive aspect to do that, remember that you're probably going to be in it for the long term. So keep that in mind. 22nd of March until the end of April, until the 30th of April, Mars enters Pisces in your first house, and it's giving you kind of like a boost in terms of stamina, energy. You're kind of like go throughout this entire period. You're very driven, you're very motivated, you move faster than usual. You're also very motivated and driven to act, to initiate things, especially things that are likely to have a positive impact upon your financial situation. You could be spending money on your physical body throughout this whole period. You are likely to feel very comfortable with taking the lead. You might also be a little bit more on the impatient side, my dear Pisces. I do have to say. You are going to experience very likely an increase in physical stamina. So with Mars on your side, my recommendation would be to be active, to move your body, because an excess of Mars energy can result in anger, frustration, and being excessively impulsive. So it is a good time to be physically active, but I do want to say if you don't have an outlet for this kind of like increased physical energy, it might manifest every now and then as anger, frustration, kind of like outbursts, and having quite a short fuse. And very careful in general with Mars in your first house not to rush into things and hurt yourselves. So if you're working out, do make sure that you warm up. Do make sure that you're kind of like prudent and cautious when you're, I don't know, like utilizing weights or things like that. Full moon lunar eclipse, 25th of March, active week before, week after, activating your financial axis, the Libra Aries axis. Pisces, I feel like you are making a big payment around this time. Some of you could be making a big payment towards a loan, a mortgage. Some of you could be getting rid of credit cards. Some of you could be taking a significant loan or mortgage. Some of you could also be cashing in on some sort of an investment, and you are likely to see some big results, some positive results. So if you do have investments, it might be, of course, this is not financial advice. You are completely responsible for your financial decisions, but it could be a good idea to look at what you have invested and to say, okay, maybe it is time to cash out. This is a very, very, very good time to get rid of debt. as much as possible. It is probably going to make you feel a strong, a very important kind of like very significant kind of feeling of relief. And it is very important for you to feel that in order to be able to commit to new things for the long term, to new goals for the long term, my dear Pisces. If you are waiting for someone to pay you the money that they owe you, it might feel like this is it. It's happening. This is also a culminating point, a culminating time, my dear Pisces, when you might get rid of the help that you're receiving from someone else financially. So if someone has been helping you, supporting you in any shape or form materially, this could be it. You're like, okay, thank you. This has been amazing, but now it's time to move. Now it is time to move on. They might also tell you, listen, I no longer have the money to support you or to help you, and that's okay because this year your income is on the rise, but not the money that you're receiving from others. If anything, I would say this eclipse points towards a need for you to let go of some of maybe the money or the resources that you are receiving from other people, Pisces. And 28th of March, one of the nicest days of the month, Venus sextiles Uranus, a very kind of like surprising, pleasant encounter, a very kind of like enjoyable conversation, a good day to maybe surprise a loved one, to surprise maybe a friend or a colleague or a sibling or even a romantic partner. You might receive a gift unexpectedly. You might receive an unexpected invitation to a date. Really enjoyable surprises from others, but you might also be the one that actually surprises others. So don't be afraid to put yourself in that position, Pisces, because it's probably going to land very, very, very well with them. And that is your March horoscope. Folks, thank you once again for tuning in. Thank you for joining me every month, joining me here. I do hope you're going to share with us in the comments how March goes for you. March is actually a really nice month if you ask me, even though eclipse season is coming, but even the eclipse, it is supported. It is ruled by Venus and Pisces, so I am liking it. I'm liking the results. I'm liking the outcomes of the eclipse. Remember that if you want to work with me, you can find me on my website, which is written in the stars-astrology.com. That is written in the stars-astrology.com. At the time when I'm filming this, I'm taking bookings for consultations, for readings with clients for April. And also, if you are on Instagram, you can find me on Instagram at RuxUnbelievable in one word. That's RuxUnbelievable. Also, if my content is useful in any shape or form, you can also make a donation to my channel. You can hit the thanks button underneath the video and support my channel in this way. Enjoy March. Let us know how it's going for you, and I will see you next time, folks. Thank you. Bye.